Giant rookie Jose Canseco with 19 home runs and a league-leading 68 RBIs. And Roger Clemens to face him, trying to increase his mark to 15-1, the man who struck out 20 Mariners earlier this season. A very hot and humid and sticky night in Boston, and Fenway Park is sold out. This venerable facility will be packed to the gills, as it's been of late, because the Red Sox are in first, and in particular tonight because Roger Clemens, the hottest pitcher in baseball, goes to the mound in quest of his 15th victory as we approach the halfway mark of the 1986 season. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to Monday Night Baseball, and a look at two surprising teams, because when you go back to the end of spring training, the consensus for the Boston Red Sox would be that they would finish fifth. The American League East very tough, but it figured to be Toronto and Baltimore and the Yankees and Detroit scrapping for the American League Eastern Division Championship. Instead, it's the Red Sox not only on top, but on top by 8 games over Cleveland and New York. The Oakland A's have been a surprising team as well, because they figured to be right in the thick of things in the relatively inferior American League Western Division, but here they are on the 7th night of July with the worst record in baseball. Their manager, Jackie Moore, was fired a week and a half ago. Jeff Newman took over as the interim manager, and the new manager, Tony La Russa, dons an Oakland uniform for the first time tonight here in Boston. La Russa fired recently as the manager of the Chicago White Sox. What's done it for Boston? They've got a great lineup, of course, with Boggs and Buckner and Rice and Baylor and people like that, but it's really been pitching. They are second in the league in ERA. Clemens is Exhibit A, but recently, you know, they picked up that 41-year-old pup from Chicago, a guy by the name of Tom Seaver, who's with Jim Palmer right now.
Thank you, Al. I am with Tom Seaver. You've been over here 8 days. You kind of traded socks, so to speak. White, red. Right. You've had 2 starts. You won them both. Yesterday, a 4-hitter for 7 innings. What's it like to come to the Red Sox at this time of your career?
Well, it's closer to home for one, Jim, which is very important to me. My family can get here. Logistically, it just helps me there. And I'm now at the end of my career, obviously. 41 years old. I don't know how much time I have left. Hopefully 1 more year. And I know a couple of guys in this ball club, and it's a great ballpark and a great baseball city. And it's just going to be enjoyable to pitch here.
What do you think you can add to the team?
They can add, obviously, stability. A veteran pitcher can always add that. And people ask me what's the biggest thing that I can add. Every day that I go out there, every 5th day is the biggest thing I can add if I can pitch 7 innings and give up 3 earned runs or less. That's the biggest thing I can give to my teammates and John McNamara.
Your assessment of Roger Clemens?
The biggest thing that I see, and I've only seen him pitch once, and tonight will be the 2nd time in person that I've seen him this year, is that he has tremendous tempo on the mound. One of the faults of many young pitchers, they have a tendency to want to rush all the time. And it's, I'm in my 20th year. I still have that tendency. What I notice in Roger from the very first time is that he has excellent tempo on the mound.
Well, thanks. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back to ABC Monday Night Baseball. Stay tuned.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy. By Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting. By Mr. Goodwrench and General Motors Parts. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. And by IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers.
Message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Well, the Boston Red Sox are taking the field here at Fenway Park with its famed and fabled left field wall, a home run hitter's paradise in a way, but the home run hitter's paradise yesterday was Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And even though the Atlanta Braves lost, long after everybody forgets the final score, those there will remember this. Bob Horner, with 2 out of the 9th inning, hitting a home run and becoming only the 11th man in the history of baseball, and that includes games played before 1900, to hit 4 home runs in a game. And he is only the 8th man to do it in a 9-inning game. Jeff Reardon giving it up, becoming a part of history as Bob Horner became the first man since 1976 when Mike Schmidt did it at Wrigley Field to hit 4 home runs in a game. And it's one of those baseball feats about as rare as a perfect game. That was Horner yesterday, and today the Oakland A's here in Boston line up this way. Tony Phillips to lead things off at second base. Carney Lansford bats second, the third baseman. Then the rookie Jose Canseco in left field bats third. The designated hitter is Dave Kingman. Bruce Bhakti bats fifth, the first baseman. They have Mike Davis in right. Dwayne Murphy came off the disabled list this weekend. He is in center field. The shortstop is the steady Alfredo Griffin, and Jerry Willard is catching and batting ninth with Dave Stewart pitching. Now the Red Sox defensively, the outfield of Jim Rice, Tony Armas, the former A, and Dwight Evans, who has spent his whole career here. Boggs, Ray Quinones is the shortstop, Barrett and Buckner in the infield, with Rich Gedman back of the plate. And Roger Clemens, who's become legendary in half a season for 2 reasons on the mound. One, the 14-game winning streak, and the other, the night earlier this year when he set the all-time record by striking out 20 Mariners in a game. And there he is, leading the league in wins, in earned run average, and in strikeouts, the triple crown of pitching. Roger Clemens, if he can win his 15th tonight, he would be on exactly a 30 pace, because this is game number 81 of 162. The dimensions here at Fenway: 315 down into the left field corner, 379 to the gap in left center, 420 to the deepest part of the park, 380 to the gap in right center, and if you hit one down into the right field corner, you've got a shot at 302. Jim Evans is back of the plate, Ted Hendry at first, Darrell Cousins at second, and Dale Scott is the umpire at third. So here we go in Boston on a hot night with the Red Sox red hot.
Playing second base.
And unless disaster strikes, they'll go into the All-Star break with the lead in the American League East. In fact, it's mathematically impossible for them not to. They have 7 games to play in an 8-game lead. Here we go as Clemens starts things off with a fastball inside to Phillips, 1-0.
I think, Al, that the one thing you're going to see tonight, and you go back to that amazing 20 strikeout night, 9 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, no earned runs, 0 walks. So if Clemens is wild, that will be something unusual. Amazing control, not only for throwing strikes, but throwing strikes within the strike zone. And as Tom Seaver said, that's what sets him apart.
Clemens behind on the count, and now behind 3-0. As Jim mentioned, with no walks that night, that was the one figure that really stood out. None of us have ever seen 20 in the strikeout column, but to go side by side with a 0 under walks was unbelievable. In there in the count, 3-1.
If you go back to his 15 strikeout performance in 1984, no walks that night either. And again, the most difficult time for a starting pitcher, you come out of the bullpen, the mound's a little bit different, is the first batter. And if you see Tony Phillips, not a very tall fella,
hitting a fly ball to center field deep, but there's plenty of room out there, and Armas goes all the way back and makes the catch, and that's a 405-foot out. So Phillips, who has 2 home runs all season, just picked the wrong park to hit that one in.
Again, this is what you would term a hitter's ballpark. But if you look at the wind tonight, gusting out towards right center, the most difficult place in Fenway Park is to hit a ball in the right center field gap or in right field. The only really cheap home run for a left-handed pull hitter or a right field hitter that goes the other way is down the right field line.
Now Carney Lansford, who came up with the Angels and then went to Boston and won a batting championship here. Lansford in the strike season 1981 was the American League batting champion, and then the following year he was hurt, and that paved the way for Wade Boggs to play every day. As Lansford fouls it away, as new manager Tony La Russa watches his club for the first time. Tony named late last week, and the A's gave him a few days to get his family settled, so Jeff Newman managed the team in Milwaukee. And he looks on with a count 0-2, and the crowd anticipating a strikeout. When Lansford in 1982 was hurt in a collision at home plate with Lance Parrish. It gave Wade Boggs the chance to play every day. And then when Carney came back, they put him at third and moved Boggs to first. But then during the offseason, they figured Boggs was their third baseman, and that opened up the way for Lansford to be traded to Oakland. 1-2.
The key tonight when we look at Roger Clemens, as in so many ball games, if you're sitting at home, you can watch Rich Gedman. When he moves, when Clemens is on, the ball will almost be in his glove. And on nights that he struggled, they'd say, "What's the matter?" And he said, "Well, he didn't hit the glove that night." So you can almost see if he's on or off. Just look for the glove and look for the ball.
2-2.
That is the breaking ball that Roger Clemens throws. He does have a curveball and a slider, but basically, in talking to Mark Sullivan, who's the backup catcher, yesterday hit a 3-run home run, he said the one pitch that he has not developed is the curveball.
It's coming.
Quickly.
Clemens, an imposing figure on the mound. He is 6'4", 215 pounds. He'll be 24 years old next month. He was born in Dayton, Ohio, but went to high school in Houston. And he lives now in Katy, Texas. And for Roger Clemens, who threw that last pitch at 94 miles per hour, he'll be going home next week to Houston, to the Astrodome, to the All-Star game, and probably as the starting pitcher. 3-2 to Lansford is a breaking ball for strike 3, and Carney thought it was ball 4.
Well, you're sitting up there, you know the guy's throwing 94 miles per hour, you're looking fastball, and you get a low and away slider. It's strike 3 if the bat goes beyond home plate, and it did. First strikeout of the night.
Now Jose Canseco. If he got all of a Clemens fastball, that one would reach the New Hampshire border. Jose Canseco, who will hit them as far as anyone you've ever seen, takes up high for a ball. Watching him in batting practice, and it's a real treat, and a lot of the crowd was here, and he's become a folk piece before the game. He hits a lot of towering drives, and he can hit them out anywhere. He hit some rockets to dead center field. Majestic shots that when they left the bat, you thought they were routine fly balls to center, and as you look at his swing, the next thing you do in BP, they were not only in the seats, but about halfway up.
You talk to any of the scouts in baseball, any of the general managers, any of the managers, any of the pitchers, what they say is he generates great bat speed. In other words, when the bat gets into the hitting area, they have very rarely ever seen a hitter with better bat speed. His biggest problem is expanding the strike zone. Feels that the umpires help him, and then he helps them. His one big problem is, again, swinging the balls over his head and breaking balls in the dirt.
1-2 pitch on the way. He is outside. 2-2. Clemens leading the league in strikeouts with 133, and Canseco leading the league in strikeouts in his own way. He's fanned 97 times. So the odds here are even money, and Clemens wins. A's are gone in order, and after a half, it's Oakland nothing, and Boston coming up.
Catch up with it, and we talked about Canseco expanding the strike zone. You get ahead as a pitcher, you have overpowering stuff, you run the ball up in the strike zone, and you see the swing and the miss.
Here's the Boston lineup. Marty Barrett, who's been very hot, leads off. Then the league's leading hitter, Wade Boggs. Bill Buckner is the first baseman, batting third. He had the day off yesterday, and Jim Rice is in left, up among the league batting leaders. The DH, Don Baylor, who came over from the Yanks. Dwight Evans is in right field. Tony Armas, healthy again, is in center, batting seventh. The catcher is Rich Gedman, who had the day off yesterday. And the shortstop is young Ray Quinones. In the outfield, Canseco with Murphy and Davis. The infield of Lansford, Gold Glove winner Griffin, Phillips and Bhakti. Jerry Willard does the catching for the A's. And the pitcher is Dave Stewart. And in a way, Stewart getting the start tonight sort of symbolizes the A's plight this year. He started the season in Philadelphia, was released, worked out in Baltimore when the A's were there in May. They sent him to the minors for one appearance and then brought him back up, and they're in a way forced to start him here because they have so many injuries and they've had so many guys go up and down this year. To wit, Moose Haas, their leading winner with 7 victories, is not on the disabled list but hasn't pitched in a month. Joaquin Andujar is on the DL. Bill Kruger's on the DL. Rick Langford's been ineffective. And so what they really need is an able arm to go out there and pitch. And Stewart provides that tonight.
Well, they hope so. And coming off elbow surgery at the end of last season, can be overpowering. Good curveball, good fastball, but always seems to make the bad pitch at the right time.
Marty Barrett hits a one-hopper to third, and Lansford across the Bachty for the out. So 1 pitch and 1 gone, and Wade Boggs comes up.
And playing in, respecting Marty Barrett's bunting ability, puts the ball into the glove, and then the rest is history. Just an easy throw to first.
Wade Boggs leads the league in hitting at .374. Boggs, who was up around 400 last month, is a man you have to empathize with. He is really going through this season in what would have to be a many days. The 0-1 pitch to him is a change missing low. As many of you know, his mother was killed in an automobile accident in Florida last month. Missed several days, came back. And so it's with a very heavy heart and a lot on his mind that Boggs goes through the rest of the season. 1-2. John McNamara.
Excuse me, Al. If we look at John McNamara, the manager of the Red Sox, Wade said say hello to his dad. Ask him how he was doing. He said much better. Again, very difficult situation.
Two balls and 2 strikes to count on Boggs, who leads the league in hitting and has already won a couple of batting championships.
Don Mattingly next. They're in the 340s. And right there you see Wade do something that he doesn't do very often, which is expand the strike zone. Dave Stewart is right around 93, 94 miles per hour on the radar gun. So if there is any weakness to Wade Boggs, and there really aren't many, it's the inside part of the plate when you get ahead. But last year, the 240 hits, he got 124 with 2 strikes.
3-2.
Excuse me, walk.
Since 1900. That's lifetime batting averages. Cobb at the incredible figure of 367. And there is Wade Boggs through 4 full seasons in the big leagues at 354. In the air to center field, and it's Murphy right there to make the catch. And there are 2 down with Buckner coming to the plate. Dave Stewart is home in a way. Stewart grew up in the Oakland area. Started his big league career with the Dodgers. Then he was sent to Texas. Then to Philadelphia. Ineffective this season. The release. And now back again. And making his first start of the season. A strike on the outside corner. Actually, his second start, his first since the 1st of June, when he worked against the Yankees, giving up a run in 5 innings. And he was not involved in the decision.
If you've been in baseball, really the trail to the major leagues is littered with guys like Dave Stewart that have outstanding ability, and a lot of guys don't even get to the major leagues. But if you're a baseball man, you wonder why Dave has not been a big winner.
Buckner hits a bouncer down to first. One first baseman retires the other. Bachty makes the play unassisted. There's no score through 1. And we'll be back after this message and a word from your local station.
Does uric acid work fast enough?
Roger Clemens was 6-4. Tonight he is 14-1. Here is what John McNamara thinks of his pitcher.
he could cash it in right now, Al, and have, you know, go home 14-1 at the present time. He has just come along, and he is a pitcher that we heard about when we came here a year ago. Unfortunately, he had the arm problems last year, the shoulder problems and surgery, but he's a franchise-type pitcher. At 23 years of age, he's more mature, and you know, he just takes it to you. He's an outstanding worker and competitor. Plus, he has God-given talent, and good God-given talent.
He works here on Dave Kingman as we start the second inning. Kingman, like Canseco, with towering, majestic home runs, but unlike Jose, Kingman's been doing it for years. However, Dave's plight has always been a low average, and this year no exception at 194 in there. But Kingman's got a chance, Jim, to pull a remarkable feat off this year, to hit less than 200 and drive in more than 100 runs.
That is amazing. He almost did it back in '82 with the Mets with 37 home runs and 99 RBIs. We see another swing and a miss. Of course, he likes to hit in Fenway Park with 11 home runs and 63 at-bats. Presently mired in a slump, as you see his career average against Roger Clemens. Of course, as John McNamara said, last year's shoulder surgery for Roger Clemens. As you see the high rider, high fastball ahead in the count. Year before, it was 9-4. Last year, 7-5, and he's had injuries in both years. This is the only year that he has been healthy. Well supported. The Red Sox have scored 6.4 runs while he's pitched, so he's doing his job and they're doing their job.
2-2 to Kingman, who has struck out 70 times, make it 71. Kingman's got through his career not only striking out, but striking out a lot on pitches way out of the strike zone.
Well, again, once you establish your fastball, and we've seen the radar gun say it's 97 miles per hour, that was a high slider. You see it all the way. It's up in your eyes. You want to swing, but then you want to hold up, and you can't because you've gotten the bat started. It's the only way you can hit Roger Clemens. You cannot take a lazy swing. You have to be aggressive, and that resulted in a strikeout. And that's the third in a row.
Bruce Bochy, the batter, takes the ball. The Reds lead the Mets in the third, 1-0. Houston has the lead at Montreal in the third. The Phillies lead Atlanta 4-0 in the third. The Dodgers have the lead in the second against St. Louis, Pittsburgh, San Diego later. The Cubs and the Giants are off. Two balls and no strikes on Bruce Bochy. Clemens has struck out 3 in a row and gets that one in for a strike, and the count 2-1. Bruce Bochy with the Angels and with Seattle, and then he retired. He quit baseball in 1983, just took the year off, and then came back, signing with Oakland in '84. Pretty good year for him last year at 295. And he rips it into center field for a base hit. So the A's have their first hit and their first base runner. Bochy is on. And it will bring up Mike Davis. In the American League, the Yankees lead Texas in the top of the first 1-0. Toronto 1, Seattle 0 in the third inning. Baltimore and Kansas City are scoreless. The Royals have dropped 9 in a row. The Indians are looking for their 8th straight win, trail 1-0 to the Sox in the second. Detroit, Minnesota, California, Milwaukee, no score. Mike Davis with Bochy at first base. Takes high for a ball, 1-0.
Well, another guy last year had an excellent year. American League Player of the Month in April with 9 home runs, 23 RBIs. This year off to a bad start. Had a leg injury early, a hamstring pull. I think also, Al, when you get a young player like Mike that has a good year, you pitch him a little differently. Last year, hit down in the...
That's to Quinones, who makes a great stop, and then to Barrett for the force play. Ray Quinones taking over at shortstop. Glenn Hoffman has been on the disabled list much of the season. Backing up, getting in front of it, and turning it into a force play.
If there's any criticism of Ray, it's that as a rookie, he makes the rookie mistakes. Does not make the easy play. Here he makes a difficult one, stays right with it. Knows he's not going to get 2. Over to Barrett for 1. Gets the sure out. Marty with a nice snag to get the second out of the inning. It's one of those plays, you know, you can't turn a double play, get the 1 out, keep the runner at first.
And Davis, with decent speed, is sent back hands first. Davis with 11 stolen bases. Alfredo Griffin leads the club with 19. 1-0 the count. Murphy can make a big difference. Dwayne, the Gold Glove center fielder, has missed 2 months. Came back this weekend. Back injury. And for a while it looked like he might be gone for the year.
He had enzyme treatments and didn't agree with them. He was allergic to them. He said he's won a Golden Glove a couple of times, or 6 years in a row. It's more than a couple of times. Hit over 30 home runs one year, but I think he really misses Ricky Henderson in the lineup. Henderson used to hit right in front of him, an excellent fastball hitter. Of course, has a distinction along with Dale Murphy, Reggie Jackson, and Mike Schmidt to the last 4 years to have struck out over 100 times. Pitched against him when I first came up, or when he first came up, and he had a very short stroke, and he's expanded. Thus more home runs, but more strikeouts.
In the air to left field and down into the corner, and Rice looking up at the wall and plays it off the wall as Davis gets waved in. The throw goes to second, safe there. And I tell you, had they called him out, it would have been very close as to whether the run would have counted or not, because the play was made at second almost simultaneously with Murphy coming into second base and Davis touching home plate. But it's all academic on the double, and it's Oakland 1 and Boston nothing in the second inning.
Here you see the result of the ball off the wall. Jim Rice has become very expert at playing that wall. As Al said, if Murphy doesn't hustle, the run wouldn't have counted. Typical Fenway fly ball double. They say it's 315 down in that corner. I pitched here for many years, almost 19, and I would have liked to have measured it. Many times it seemed a lot shorter.
Alfredo Griffin, the switch hitting shortstop. Low for a ball in the count, 1-0. Well, it's the old story with the wall, and we talk about it, and all broadcasters do when they come in here. A lot of cheap fly ball doubles, cheap home runs, but also some rockets that have turned into singles.
They have one gentleman that plays for the Red Sox that over the years, a guy named Jim Rice, hits the ball so hard sometimes it doesn't have a chance to get up into that screen. You look at Dwayne Murphy at second base. The one interesting thing to me about Roger Clemens tonight is that uncharacteristically he is behind almost every hitter.
He's ahead here on Griffin. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Clemens with 3 strikeouts, and they were successive. He got Lansford and Canseco to end the first inning, and Kingman to start the second.
The one thing he does have, Al, is staying power. Leads the American League with just a little bit over 8 innings average per start. Closest pitcher in Major League Baseball is Fernando Valenzuela. Of course, the American League has the DH you don't get pinch hit for, but the way the bullpen in Los Angeles is working, they don't pinch hit for Fernando very often either.
They want to keep his bat in the lineup.
Exactly. He's one of their better hitters. Especially when, if you look at their lineup, you're looking at most of the guys that played for Albuquerque at the beginning of the season. As you said, Alfredo Griffin, outstanding year last year. Really want to have him hit fly balls. The best space to play it. Pitch him is up and out over the plate. Get him to hit the ball in the air. Hits it on the ground. He can be tough.
Whacked foul behind the A's dugout and skipping all the way back. Testimony to Griffin's skills would be last year the fact that he made 30 errors, which is a lot at any position. Shortstops generally commit more than those at any other position, but 30 is still a lot for a shortstop, and still he was voted the Gold Glove, and that's got to tell you something, and it tells you he can make the spectacular play.
Well, what he, I think, also did was have a pretty good year offensively, much better than he ever did in Toronto.
Foul back, even though that shouldn't matter when it comes to voting for the Gold Glove. It certainly does, because it makes you more prominent in the minds of those making the selections.
But then again, I suppose if we were going to talk about prominent offensive shortstops, we would have to immediately go to Baltimore and Cal Ripken. But he is very flashy. Makes the routine play, makes the difficult play, and as I said last year, drove in a lot of runs for a shortstop, especially one that does not hit with a lot of power. Roger knows this, but in pitching to Alfredo, one of the most effective pitches is a changeup. And that's his third pitch, and in this situation, already one run down. A lot of times you don't like to get hurt with your third best pitch early in the ball game.
Well, Clemens wanted a new sequence and got it from Gedman, and then Griffin decides he's going to make Clemens wait. With Murphy to his lead at second, and the 1-2 pitch is fouled back again. Griffin, and there is Joaquin Andujar, who is on the disabled list, came over from the Cardinals. Mark of 4-2. He seemed to be about ready to come back and then hurt himself in a mock game at the Oakland Coliseum the other day. Sprained his ankle.
When you acquire a guy like Andujar, you expect around 270 innings, which is what he's averaged the last 2 years. Big disappointment for Oakland.
Fouled away again. And again, when you talk about the A's and their problems, you have to begin with pitching. And the fact that they've been unable to get a rotation together this season. They've been running a shuttle back and forth and picking up guys who were released like Dave Stewart, with Murphy now ready to take his lead from second. And in fact, it just recently picked up another pitcher, Dave Von Olin. Griffin making Clemens work, and the count still holding at 1-2 strikes.
And Roger, what he's trying to do is get Alfredo to chase a bad high fastball. I want to say what Roger Clemens' strength is. It's control and also a fastball that usually does not lose much velocity. Tonight might be an exception. It's the hottest night of the baseball season here in Boston. You wonder if he will be able to maintain his staying power into the late parts of the game.
And now Clemens wants to make sure he and Gedman are together.
Well, in this situation now you have a runner on second base. And Dwayne Murphy's been around. As we look at the support and the 14-game winning streak and eventually the one loss of Roger Clemens, and you see a lot of runs.
The left-hand column, the key one here, you can see all of the runs they have scored for him.
But also, I think a key, Al, and not to interrupt you, is that the fact is that in a lot of games he has pitched extremely well, and that's what it takes. Outstanding performance on the mound and support by your teammates. Baseball is a team game, but it's comprised of individual performance, and you're looking at a guy that's had an outstanding first 16 or 17 games.
Storybook, major league record for strikeouts. Went into the 8th inning with a no-hitter at Texas in May. That's ripped into left center field for a base hit, and maybe more as Armas cuts it off at the track. Murphy comes in to score on a double by Griffin. So Clemens, with a 1-2 count, kept having Griffin foul them away, and finally Alfredo lashes one to the gap, and it's 2-0 A's.
As we said, little ball a little bit lower, trying to get him out up. Gets it in the middle of the plate, about thigh high, and Griffin just goes with it. No use trying to pull Roger Clemens, and his speed easily gets him into second base.
The A's catcher now, Jerry Willard. Willard was released late in spring training by Cleveland. Reported to the A's, was signed to a contract at Tacoma, their AAA club, and then brought up in early May. And he fouls it back, and the count is 0-1. The A's right now going with Willard and also Mickey Tettleton, their other catcher, but he's shaken up, has his ankle wrapped after a home plate collision in Milwaukee over the weekend.
Look at Alfredo Griffin. Has to be a little bit discouraged for Roger Clemens. He gave Griffin his best stuff, and he just flicked him foul till he got a pitch he liked and then flipped it into left field for a double.
The 0-1 to Willard is Luke foul, and the count 0-2. 2-0 Oakland. Roger Clemens, who was 14-0 going into his outing last Wednesday against Toronto, and in that game he was leading 2-1 going into the 8th inning, gave up a run, had 2 men on base when he came out. They were his responsibility, and both eventually scored as Bob Stanley came out of the bullpen. And that's the only loss of the season for Roger Clemens. Facing a hot man right now, Willard is 12 for his last 29. 2.
Jerry Willard looking away, and Clemens going for the strikeout up and in. The way he reacted was to jump out of the way. Again, that's the ball that is going to be taken for strike 3 if you throw it for a strike. But on a night you're struggling, and Roger is, that ball is a ball.
Ground ball to Barrett. And down goes Willard and the A's. But they get 2 on 3 hits, and at the end of 1.5, it's 2-0 Oakland.
These are the hands of Mr. Goodwrench. Hands that work. Hands with the know-how to fix things. Hands that are strong and sure. Hands that are gentle, accurate. Hands that can almost see where the trouble is and how to make it right again. Hands of skill. Hands that care. The working hands of Mr. Goodwrench. And no one knows your GM car better. No one.
I have 3 grown children. One of them married. And I love Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Brave adults continue to challenge the notion that Frosted Flakes is just a kid cereal.
Both my parents eat them. What if the kids at school found out?
Because you love them as a kid doesn't mean you can't love them as an adult.
With Dr. Coleman's help, we all can now admit we eat them, can't we?
With that extra crunch in milk, that frosting just right, that tastes as good as ever.
Frosted Flakes good? They're great! So dig in. They've got the love.
Happy with the home runs. I feel that I'm a better home run hitter than I am doing right now. But your home run is going to come. The batting average up, the RBIs is up, and the attitude is up. That's all that matters, because I know that once you get in the groove, the home run is going to come.
So Jim Rice, who's been held to 8 home runs this season, and I say held because you look at his history, he's a 3-time home run champion, twice hitting 39 and once 46. And a reminder that next week from Houston, next Tuesday, the 15th of July at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific time, the All-Star game. And I would imagine you're looking at the American League starting pitcher tonight in Roger Clemens, who will next work on Saturday. And nobody would be surprised, of course, if Dwight Gooden were to be given the ball for the National League All-Star team. Interestingly, his teammate, Sid Fernandez, is now the winningest pitcher in the National League with 11. Gooden's 110. So Jim Rice, with 339 lifetime home runs, takes outside for a ball.
We've said many times a rare blend of a guy that can hit for an average into the season with a lifetime batting average over 300. This year, 335. Often maligned up here in Boston.
2-0 the count.
Last year for grounding into too many double plays, 35. The year that he battled knee problems, eventually had his knee arthroscoped after the season. 27 home runs, 103 RBIs, only 291. An off year for him.
By the mound, backhanded by Phillips, and the throw is offline. Tony making a nice play to get there, and might have had a shot with an on-target throw, but couldn't really get very much on it, and it was way off the mark.
Well, they have a tendency to play Jim Rice up the middle, but when you throw the ball as Dave Stewart did, you become the 5th infielder. Falls off to the left, is unable to come up with the ball. Phillips does a nice job. Desperation throw, and Rice, who is not fleet of foot, just barely beats it. Bakke with a nice stop.
Don Baylor has 15 home runs, but none in his last 22 games, and that's the longest such drought of his career. His next home run will be career number 300. Hit sharply to Phillips, who knocks it down, shovels to second for the fours. So he had a double play, but in his haste, dropping the ball and settling for the lead man, Rice, as Baylor reaches safely.
Well, again, with a 2-run lead, you want to get one. Ball kind of hit on the fist. Again, Baylor a pull hitter. Phillips up the middle. He just gets in front of the ball. Then he's thinking of one. And he gets it. Common mistake on that play, Alice, that you think 2 all the way because you'd like to get 2, and then you get none. What you do is you keep a double play in order by getting the 1 out. Another guy that is a dangerous hitter, but if he hits the ball on the ground, a potential double play man.
Dwight Evans comes to the plate, hitting .248 with 10 home runs and 50 runs batted in. Baylor at first base, and 1 out. A's ahead 2-0 in the bottom of the second inning. 1-0.
The interesting comment in the interview that you did with Jim Rice's attitude. And it seems to me that since they've gotten Don Baylor, and everybody says Don's a great leader in the clubhouse, and he is, and I think Earl Weaver put it best. He said not only does he lead in the clubhouse, he leads when he's on the field, plays the game hard. But I think another prominent black athlete on the Boston Red Sox has really helped Jim Rice's attitude. No doubt about it. Much more glib, not as sullen. Always been a nice guy, but has always been by himself more or less up here. And I think this year has loosened up. Certainly is showing in his batting average and his attitude.
Very much so. There's a certain maturity there, and I think you really hit it right on the head. Rice even tended toward truculence in the past, and now giving much more of himself, at least seemingly so, as Evans drives it to left field, and making the catch is Canseco for the out. Baylor retreats to first base, and with 2 down, it will bring up Tony Armas.
It's a typical fly ball in Fenway Park. If you're pitching, and I did it for about 19 years here, your heart is up in your throat on every fly ball. The fans go to their feet, and you just hope that it stays in the ballpark.
Tony Armas, who was bothered with injuries, hitting only 1 homer through his first 47 games. He's hit 3 in his last 7, including 1 yesterday in Boston's 7-3 victory over Seattle. 0-1. Armas at one time part of that incredible Oakland outfield of Ricky Henderson in left, Dwayne Murphy in center, and Tony in right.
He would play extremely shallow, could go back well, had great throwing arms, great range. This man 2 years ago hit 43 home runs for the Red Sox. Last year with injuries, 23.
In there, the count 0-2.
Said he's been over swinging too hard. We'll try to cut down on his swing. Not sure if he'll be able to do that. Goes up there and usually gets 3 good rips every time he's at bat. One of the strongest men in baseball.
People forget Armas broke in with Pittsburgh, and then when Charlie Finley began to dismantle those great Oakland teams, he came over to the A's from the Bucks and started with Oakland in 1977. This is his 4th season now at Boston. Armas 33 years old. Breaking pitch is low on the count 2-2. Dave Stewart, who first came up with the Dodgers, and his nickname at that time was Smoke. And he smokes Armas right back to the dugout. First strikeout for Stewart, and at the end of 2, it's Oakland 2 and Boston nothing.
Ace is a place for savings with our July best buys. Like this Sparta's travel alarm clock. It's only $1.99 with the rebate. Or this Intermatic 24-hour lamp and appliance timer. It's only $3.66 with the rebate. And this ever-ready heavy-duty floating lantern. Best Buy priced at only $4.47. Look for these Ace Best Buys and lots more in our July Building of America circular. And you can use the Ace credit card.
Don Baylor, ability-wise, I think his hitting style is very suitable to Fenway Park. But again, after being with him as a coach in California in '78, I thought he could add the same thing that we talked about Tom Seaver adding to this ball club, the intangibles of leadership, and not vocally, but by example. And he has done exactly that. He has given us a credibility where I think that we're a tough, hard-nosed ball club now.
and 8 games in front in the American League East. Don Baylor, who came over in the deal that sent Mike Easler to the Yankees. What was George Steinbrenner quoted as saying last week? Baylor's bat will be dead by August. The rest of the division is liable to be dead by August.
I'm sure he's hoping that. But again, in all fairness, the trade Mike Easler for Don Baylor has been beneficial to both ball clubs. In fact, Easler's hitting much better, well over 300 with runners in scoring position, while Baylor is down around 216. But again, the pitching on the Red Sox has been better. Big problem for the Yankees this year.
Phillips swinging and missing. There it is right now. Baylor more power and RBIs, and Easler meanwhile silently batting .332, and that is 6th in the league.
Well, he struggled early and has hit very well of late. Again, offense is not the Yankees' problem. I think the reason this year that Jim Wright's been be jocular about the fact that he's only hit 8 home runs is because of Don Baylor and Roger Clemens and the pitching staff on the Red Sox as a whole. Had a lot of injuries, had to go with a lot of young pitchers. Some are still with him, some aren't, but no doubt will help them in September when you go to 40 men if you wish to do so.
Crowd groans at the call by Jim Evans, and the count 2-2.
Again, the 3rd year, really the 4th year for Roger Clemens. Knows how to pitch in Fenway Park. 2 runs. You don't want to be down 2 runs, but if you are, you know you battle. Your team has, we said earlier, scored him an average of about 6.5 runs a game. So you have to keep the other team right there.
2-2.
We saw that yesterday. Mike Langston, a fine young pitcher for Seattle, trailing 4-1. His team came back, eventually gave up another 3 runs, but you were never out of the ball game. There's the 3 runs late in the ball game, scoring on Mark Sullivan's first 3-run home run of his career.
Phillips, meanwhile, mired in a slump after a real hot start. It's a chopper toward the middle. Going to be a tough play and no play as it takes a kangaroo hop for a base hit. With Phillips' speed, it's doubtful that either Barrett or Quinones could have thrown him out anyway.
As we said earlier, sometimes you just don't get the breaks. You make good pitch, just a routine grounder, but hit right up the middle. Both Barrett and Quinones know they cannot make the play. Let the ball go into center field.
So Phillips at first. He has stolen 12 bases this season, and here is Lansford. His average is up, but his RBI production is down. The A's expecting more from him than 29 RBIs in a half season.
As you talked about earlier, the ankle injury to get him out of the lineup in '82, broken wrist last season after a good start, sideline of most of the year. Excellent right field hitter, though. Tony La Russa might choose to have him hit and run.
Runner goes. It's swung on and missed, and a sailing throw winds up in center field, where Armas charges and comes up firing to third too late. A stolen base for Phillips, who got a decent jump, and then a bad throw by Gedman, resulting in a Boston error. And the A's have a runner at third and nobody out.
Well, aggressiveness on Tony La Russa's part. Hit and run. Gedman knows he has to hurry. More or less a sidearm toss right into Phillips. Tony up and on his way to third as the other Tony comes in to make the throw. You can see his arm strength, but a little too late.
So the Boston infield now plays back, and they'll give up a run on a ground ball as Lansford waits at the plate 0-1. Buckner even with a bag at first.
A little National League baseball here at Fenway Park. Reminds you of the Cardinals, manufacturing runs, or at least in a position to do so.
On the subject of the National League, Cincinnati 3, the Mets 1 in the 5th. Houston leading Montreal 3-1 4th. Phillies 6, Braves 2. Dodgers lead St. Louis 1-0. Pittsburgh, San Diego underway shortly. Good fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Carney Lansford.
Well, that was the extra right there. A good high rider.
Yankees 2-1 in the 3rd. Toronto has the lead against Seattle. Baltimore and KC scoreless. White Sox 1, Cleveland 0 in the 3rd. Twins and Tigers tied. California, Milwaukee scoreless. Down to short, and it will score a run with the infield playing back. Quiñones throws Lansford out, but Carney gets his 30th RBI as Phillips, who singled, stole second, and went to third on Gedman's error, comes in on the ground ball. So it is 3-0 Oakland with 1 out, and the base is empty in the third inning. And Jose Canseco at the plate.
If you're sitting at home, you say, why didn't John McNamara play his infield in? And the reason, of course, is versus Fenway Park. Don't like to be down 3 runs, but if you play your infield in with the heart of the order coming up, you're looking at a big inning. Ball was right at Quiñones. Most likely could have made a play if he was in, but also he could have been to his left or his right for a base hit.
Strike to Canseco. Jose surprising a lot of people, because if you haven't seen him interviewed and you know he was born in Cuba, there are those who expect him to speak no English or broken English. But he left Cuba when he was 9 months old. He's a Miami kid. He grew up in Florida. He has a twin brother, Ozzie, who until the last couple of days was in the Yankee minor league system and was just released. 1-2, and Jose is hopeful that the A's are interested in signing him.
Well, I've read all the magazine articles. Again, as we see the good high fastball, and Canseco, as we said, will expand the strike zone right there. Another ball. But it is a pitch that most hitters think they can see. It's right in their eyes. But when you're talking 95, 96, 97 miles per hour, very hard to catch up with him. Hard to believe this kid once weighed 190 pounds before the offseason last year. Stand next to him, maybe one of the biggest players I've ever seen, along with Frank Howard. Dave Kingman is no small guy when he strides to home plate. If that's what weights will do for you, you better start pumping some iron. Do you think so, Al?
I would think that Canseco would be an exemplary model. At 6'3", and what do you figure he's weighing right now? 210?
I think more than that. Biceps weigh 210.
A mile-high pop-up in front of the mound. Here comes Buckner with Boggs, and it's Buckner making the play. So 2 down, 2 out in the third inning, and Dave Kingman is the batter. Kingman struck out in the second inning. Clemens has struck out 3, and they were in succession. You got Lansford and Canseco in the first inning, and then Dave in the second. Kingman, a tempestuous career to say the least. Broke in with the Giants. Fouls it away. Crowd going into a mini wave and some beach balls also being bandied about in the outfield.
They don't wave as well 3 runs down as they did yesterday when they were ahead most of the game here at Fenway Park.
They're getting ready to wave Kingman goodbye right now with the count 0-2. Wide World WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship, while we against Holyfield. Evander seeking the crown this Saturday on Wide World. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Dave Kingman. And down he goes again on the same pitch he struck out on in the second inning. A's get a run and lead 3-0 after 2.5.
Burger King introduces a great new taste in burgers, the Double Deluxe.
Double or nothing, that's how I play. Got a great new taste and I got it my way.
Double plain broiled burgers, double melted cheese, crisp, sizzling bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
This is a Burger King town.
Try the Double Deluxe. No single fried lettuce and tomato burger comes close.
We know how burgers should be.
When it comes time to sell your home, consider this. Only one real estate sales organization sells more homes, finds more homes, and delivers more successful transactions every day than anyone else in the world. No one's got the power to move real estate like Century 21.
I always thought that time was a measure of quality. Now they've got technology that can cut the time of aging beer to that. Bam. Instant beer. Not Coors. Coors ages their beer longer than any other major brewer. Almost twice as long. They age any beer longer, it gets smoother. More easy drinking. More like Coors. Nope. Coors won't take shortcuts with time. Coors is the one.
Well, we told you about Kauai and Holyfield coming up on Wide World Saturday. Last week, there was Stewart and Corrales. Dave Stewart last Tuesday was on the mound for Oakland. The batter was Julio Franco. Tony Bernazard had just hit a home run. Then that pitch, the plate umpire Darrell Cousins here with Corrales. Corrales trying to get Stewart thrown out of the game. Then they begin a long distance argument, which all of a sudden turns into a confrontation as Corrales tries to kick. And Stewart delivers a thundering right hand. And then the ensuing melee in which Carney Lansford, among others, were injured. And that was the end of that. And as baseball fights go, that was a fairly genuine one.
That's what Pat Corrales said.
Yeah.
He said that was not a very smart thing for me to do, but as a manager, you have to go out and protect your players, and he did. And it's interesting. I was talking to Tom Seaver before the game about throwing at batters and guys getting hit. And he always said the Mets really never had a problem because they had Ryan and they had Koosman and they had Seaver. They threw too hard.
Gedman hits a high drive to deep left center field, but Murphy will track it down at the 379 mark, or 115.5 meters away.
If you look at Dave Stewart, does not smile much on the mound, but a nice guy off the mound. Maybe that's a problem that underneath that facade, he is really too nice a guy when he pitches. Of course, he certainly wasn't a nice guy in Oakland the other day. Getting back to what, and I played for Earl Weaver, who for about 14 or 15 years, and Earl had a theory that if you get into throwing contests, in other words, trying to hit people, beanball contests, whatever you want to call them, people end up getting hurt. And when people end up getting hurt, you lose players, you lose games. So why do that? If the guy's better than you as a pitcher, then he's better than you. But the throw at him is, especially in the American League, when you don't go to bat, something that's I've never approved of, and a lot of other people don't either.
No balls, 2 strikes, the count on Quinones with 1 out, bases empty in the bottom of the 3rd. A's leading 3-0. Grounded through the middle, and he's 2 for his last 29 as Quinones picks up Boston's second hit. So the number 9 hitter comes through. Ray in the lineup for his glove, obviously, and we mentioned Hoffman on the disabled list. The other shortstop is Ed Romero.
Well, again, 2 base hits, both up the middle, both fieldable balls if you follow through in the proper manner. Dave Stewart doesn't, hence another base hit.
Marty Barrett has a 13-game hitting streak. He grounded out on Stewart's first pitch in the 1st inning.
Didn't happen in tonight's game, but also with that 13-game hitting streak in the last 11 games, 9 times he led off the game with a base hit. So he's been doing the job as a leadoff man.
And he is the hottest of those over the past week with Ripken, Andy Thornton, Gary Pettis, Larry Parrish, and Ernie Witt.
I talked to Marty.
Hot during the week of the 4th of July.
Excuse me. I talked to Marty in the first year in the major leagues 2 years ago. He hit 300 last year, around 266. And he said that they started playing me a little bit differently. They defensed me. I hit too many balls to right field. He says I've changed. I pulled the ball. We saw that the first time up. And he said they've gone back from that defensive shift.
He stepped out and got time called. Meanwhile, the Yankees, traded for Zuvella in the Washington Griffey deal, and he's 0 for 17 in New York. Odubie McDowell, Kirk Gibson. There's Dave Kingman, number 4 on that dubious list, and John Cangelosi, the White Sox rookie. One and 0 on Barrett. Hit to right field for a base hit. 14 straight. Quinones on his way to 3rd. Davis's throw is a 2-hopper too late.
Give up a tainted hit that you might have been able to field, and then a legitimate one. As you said, Barrett right around 300, just loops it into right field. Mike Davis playing him down the right field line. Great arm. But Quinones with an outstanding speed as a shortstop, easily into third base. Take a look at Ray Quinones, round second. Does he touch the base? Stumbles a little bit.
If he did, just barely.
Doesn't look like he touched it at all.
But no appeal, and runners at first and third. Infield double play depth as Boggs takes a strike and the count of 1-1. In his career in this ballpark, facing right-handed pitching, Boggs is hitting .401. And he walks a lot, as you know. And that one gets by Willard, and the runners each advance. It's 3-1. Stewart charged with a wild pitch, and it's 3-1 Oakland.
Well, we talked early on about the fact that Dave Stewart always does little things to help beat himself. Didn't field the ball up the middle. There, a breaking ball way inside for a wild pitch that puts a runner in scoring position and scores the first Red Sox run.
And now Willard goes to the mound for the first time in the game. The Red Sox have a man at second, so Willard wants to make sure they've got the signal straight. Barrett smiling, and rightfully so. He's becoming a very popular figure here in Boston. His 14-game hitting streak is the second longest current streak in the big leagues. Damaso Garcia, going into Toronto's game tonight, has hit safely at 17. 1-2. Wade Boggs, in his 5th year, won the batting title in his sophomore season, won his other last year, and as we said before, Carney Lansford in 81, so 3 of the last 5 batting champions have been the Boston third baseman. High fly ball to shallow left field, and Murphy makes the play. And that is something that Boggs does very infrequently. That's a shallow fly ball to the outfield. Boggs this season, I believe, does not have an infield pop out.
2 all of last year, so a rarity. And amazing thing, you see all the averages, is that he uses only about 2/3 of the field. You probably see this next time he comes up. They defense him as really a right-handed pull hitter. Play him away around left field, put a shift on him. Some teams put 3 guys on the left side of second base, and he still gets his hits.
Bill Buckner bounced out in the first inning. Buckner given a rare day off yesterday as Dave Stapleton got the start. Looks at a strike on the outside corner. Crowd not only upset over the call by Jim Evans, but those around the plate feel that Evans has been squeezing, as the saying goes, Roger Clemens tonight.
Not really sure that's the case, but Billy Buckner last year almost 300 at 299, almost 100 RBIs. I asked Jim Rice, I said, what's the matter with Billy this year? He said he's hitting the ball right at people. He said every 10 times he hits the ball 6 and just has not been hitting in good luck. Tough to walk, tough to strike out. Baseball players refer to a guy like Billy Buckner as a gamer. Plays with injuries. If you watch him run, you feel sorry for him, yet he stole 18 bases last year. Wouldn't think he would have that kind of speed. Excellent first baseman. Normally makes contact. Very a rarity to see him strike out.
To him. He reaches out and fouls it away. I was there the night in '75 when he tore up his ankle at second base in Dodger Stadium and missed a good part of that season. But he's been able to come back, and in fact in 1982 with the Chicago Cubs at the age of 33, he played in 161 games, 153 the following year. Last year didn't miss a game. John McNamara wants to give him a rest, and he can afford to with an 8-game lead, so he did rest him yesterday against Langston.
John said,
as you say, a gamer.
Yes, John said the most difficult thing about managing the Red Sox is that nobody ever wants to take a rest. Rice wants to play every day, Marty Barrett, Evans, Boggs. And really, this was almost 2 days rest. They played a Saturday afternoon game and then again a Monday night game. So tough lefty on the mound. Mark Langston yesterday, give him a rest. As it turned out, it was a successful one.
No balls, 2 strikes the count, 2 out. Barrett at second. Oakland leading 3-1 in the 3rd inning. Line to center, right at Murphy. And that's that. Murphy gets all 3 putouts in the inning, but the Red Sox get a run, and after 3, it's Oakland 3, Boston 1.
Medical news from Nuprin.
Moments ago, a medical study reported the best news for tough headaches in over 10 years. Beyond regular strength aspirin, beyond extra strength Tylenol, there's a higher level of pain-relieving strength, Nuprin strength. 2 little Nuprin are stronger than extra strength Tylenol, so Nuprin stops headaches better. And remember, Nuprin is gentler to your stomach than aspirin. For strength beyond extra strength Tylenol, Nuprin strength.
Every Monday through Friday, Mike Horner drives his Chevy S10 4x4 to work.
Hi, Mike.
And back. But on Friday, November 9th, Mike made a different kind of commute. The Baja 1000, North America's most punishing off-road race. Day and night, Mike drove over the worst terrain imaginable. Could an everyday Chevy S10 survive? It not only survived, it won its class. So no matter what kind of commute you have to make, nothing works like a Chevy truck.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
Up here, power when you need it can save your neck. When you get back down to your car, it helps too. Today's smaller engines need extra firepower from a spark plug, and AC delivers. If you could look inside your engine, you'd see an AC spark plug delivering up to 30,000 volts, firing 30 times a second. Firepower when you need it from AC.
Call 800 AC Delco for a retailer near you.
Never wait for trouble.
The Rangers battling back against the Yankees. This is Corey McFerrin in New York. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Odemy McDowell takes Scott Nielsen deep directly into center field. McDowell's 12th home run on the year cuts the New York lead to 7-2. Rangers trying to stay on top in the American League West. Back to Al in Boston.
So what's the Nielsen rating right now after that? McDowell was just on that who's not hot list. Scoring summary here. The A's got 2 on a double by Murphy and a double by Griffin in the 2nd inning. And then in the 3rd, Tony Phillips with a single, stealing second, the 3rd on Gedman's throwing error. Lansford grounded out. Base hits by Quinones and Barrett. And Stewart's wild pitch netted Boston a run in the 3rd. And here we go to the 4th. Bruce Bochy. 1-0 the count. Bochy, Davis, and Murphy. 3 left-handed batters against the hard-throwing Roger Clemens. People have talked about Clemens this year. Of course, you had the winning streak. You had the 20 strikeouts against Seattle that got everybody's attention in a hurry. There was the near no-hitter in Texas. And right now, he leads the league in wins. He leads the league in earned run average, which is remarkable in any season for a Boston pitcher, pitching half the time in this park. And he leads the league in strikeouts. And we all know about the triple crown for offensive players, but there's one for pitchers as well, as Bochy swings and misses. But the man leads the league in average homers and RBIs, as a former Red Sox player Yastrzemski did in the 60s. That's the triple crown for hitters. For pitchers, it would be wins, ERA, and strikeouts. Broken bat, ground ball to second. And Barrett throws Bochy out as Davis comes to the plate. And rarely has it been done. In fact, just a few times in the history of the American League have pitchers led in all 3 categories. And there they are. And those are some pretty remarkable names. Walter Johnson, Lefty Grove, Lefty Gomez, Bob Feller, and the last time somebody did it, Hal Newhouser in 1945, 41 years ago. So you see the type of company that Clemens is keeping, at least through the half the season.
And also when you consider that runs, the earned run average is well over 4 in the average earned run average talking about in the American League. What a remarkable year he's having. And I think the only key, I don't know if he'll go 14-1 or 15-1, but is injuries. And as we said, he had the shoulder, the arthroscopic surgery late, really in the middle of last season, the forearm problems the year before. But he does an exercise program designed by one of their limited partners up here. Happens to be the team physician, Dr. Arthur Pappas. He said, as long as I keep doing those, I feel that I'll be all right. And he certainly has done a fine job.
Dr. Pappas, the much sought after medic. In fact, before the game, he knows no bounds. He was over in the Oakland clubhouse in the trainer's room.
He helped me a lot when I was pitching, helped all the pitchers for the Orioles. And the foul ball down the left field line. Carl Yastrzemski used to always kid him. He said, how can you help McGregor and Flanagan and then have them go out and beat us? He said, I am there for everybody. And he is. A lot of visiting teams look for him to come up to Boston because not only is he an excellent orthopod, he is also a pretty nice guy.
Broken bat, so he'll get a new one. The Mets have tied it in the 6th, 3-3. Houston trying to pick up half a game on the idle Giants, leading 6-1. Back of Mike Scott, who should make the All-Star team and pitch at home next week. Philadelphia leads Atlanta 7-3 in the 6th inning. The Dodgers in a twilight game lead St. Louis 1-0 in the 4th. And Pittsburgh and San Diego start shortly. American League, we told you about the Yankees now leading 7-2 in the 4th. Toronto 4, Seattle 1 in the 6th. The White Sox lead Cleveland in the 4th inning. Tigers lead the Twins in the 3rd, and California and Milwaukee are scoreless. So 2 balls and 2 strikes now, the count. Davis with a new bat waiting at the plate. And down he goes swinging on a good breaking pitch. And that's 5 strikeouts now for Roger Clemens in 3 2/3 innings.
Well, we've seen the fastball all night, 95, 96, 97. Mike Davis tries to get to the low curveball and doesn't. This kind of fuels the debate. Here we have a man on the mound throwing 97 miles per hour. He's already given up 3 runs. And the reason is that he has not made good pitches in a couple of innings. So as many pitching coaches, we see a changeup.
As Murphy hits it high in the air to left field, Rice reaching for the wall, knows he has room, and makes the catch to retire the side. So Clemens is now retired 6 in a row. It's 3-1 A's after 3 1/2.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball is brought to you by Coors.
Brightest, sharpest, and steadiest stars in the All-Star Game, July 15th on ABC Sports.
And there's a familiar face, Dusty Baker, longtime Dodger. Now in his 2nd season at Oakland. On the bench tonight, watching his club leading 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and Jim Rice to lead things off. In Boston, Al Michaels and Jim Palmer with you for Monday Night Baseball as Rice comes to the plate. Rice with an infield single, and his average has been going up, hitting .400 for the first week of July, taking low, ball 1.
Traditionally at this ballpark, Al, the best time to hit home runs are July and August. Warm air, the wind blows out, the ball carries a little bit farther. In September, supposedly the wind blows in more than any other month. So if Jim Rice is indeed going to let the home runs come, we better get started along with those singles and doubles.
Well, the doubles have come. He leads the league in doubles with 28. So he's on a pace that would net him 56 doubles for the year. Oddly, that left field wall, such an inviting target for somebody like a Jim Rice. He has hit the wall on a fly only 3 times all season.
Well, this year more than any, he has made an obvious effort to go to right field. And a lot lot of people feel it's because of the double plays last year. If you hit the ball the other way, you're going to ground into more or less double plays. I think another thing is Don Baylor talked about the attitude, but also I don't think he feels he has to hit as many home runs. The guy hitting behind you is fully capable of hitting 30 or so.
Curling down the line, foul, 3-2.
Speaking from experience, Jim hit 10 off me lifetime. I held him to a pretty low average, around 216, but 3-1 in the old days, Jim will be looking at the left field wall.
U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship coming your way this weekend. Third final round action Saturday and Sunday. Half swing on a 3-2 pitch, and it's ball 4. Lillard chases it down at the backstop, and Rice will stop at first base as Stewart issues his first walk, and that's the first walk of the game.
Again, we talked about the little things, and walking the first batter is a good way to get into a big inning.
Don Baylor hit a sharp ground ball to Phillip for a force out in the second inning. Wave making its way around Fenway again as Baylor takes inside. 1-0. Taking inside is something that Baylor has done through much of his career. And getting hit inside is something that Baylor has done throughout his entire career. He's been hit by 21 pitches this season. A rip and a miss, and it's 1-1. And Baylor's been plunked 213 times in his career. Only Ron Hunt was hit more in a career. Fouled away. I see where John and his 3.16 earned run average has made its way back. One and two the count. Baylor fouling it straight back. Where Johnny likes the ball down in the middle of the plate, likes to get his arm extended, and said, here you are, 22 games, you haven't hit a home run, or you're making any adjustments, and you can see the slightly open stance. He feels that this is going to make him see the ball a little bit better. Whether it does, of course, I guess remains to be seen. The man throwing 94 miles per hour on the mound. Drill to left for a base hit. First and second with nobody out. Saluting Dewey, which is Dwight Evans' nickname as he comes to the plate.
Leadoff walk, 2-strike, hanging curveball, and just like yesterday, Baylor did not swing that well, but when he did get a good pitch to hit, he drilled it into left field.
So now Evans, and if you're McNamara, do you want him to bunt here? If he's successful at second and third with Armas on deck.
I don't believe so, but as a pitcher, there are ways of finding out. You can throw a breaking ball a little bit out of the strike zone and down. You can throw the high fastball out of the strike zone, which is normally what you do in a bunting situation.
Up there to swing away, he takes his strike, and the count is 0-1.
Year in and year out, the Red Sox lead the American League and ground into double plays, and the reason is they do not bunt much. They play for the big inning, have a tendency to do that, especially here at Fenway Park. And they're slow. So that combination, a lot of double plays.
1-1. Rice at second. Baylor at first. Nobody out. 3-1 A's in the bottom of the fourth inning. And time called again. That's the second time the time has been called, and Stewart has delivered.
Well, Dwight Evans, a very structured hitter, very patient. Last year led the American League in walks with 114, also over 100 strikeouts with 105. So he wants to just everything to be his way, wants to feel comfortable.
High fly ball to left field, and into the corner goes Canseco, who runs the great circle route to make the catch, then throws behind Rice to send Jim back to the bag in a hurry. So a towering fly ball. Evans twice flying out to left field off Stewart, and Tony Armas comes to the plate. Armas has been Stewart's only strikeout victim. Tony now playing every day. Steve Lyons saw a lot of action early. When Tony was hurt, Lyons was the man who was traded to the White Sox last week in the deal that brought Seaver here. So it's Armas, and McNamara hopefully can stay healthy. Mile-high pop in foul ground and drifting back onto the screen.
This is one ballpark, which we look at Jerry Willard coming back to home plate. You do not give up on a pop fly. Very low grandstand, balls blow back. Seen some embarrassing moments here where you just kind of look at the ball, it's well back in the grandstand and ends up bouncing on the playing surface.
On Armas.
I think there's one Achilles heel that potentially could bother the Red Sox. That is bench depth. If any of their infielders or outfielders get hurt, a lesser player will have to take his place in the lineup, with the exception of their pitching. You're talking infielders, outfielders. Don't have too many veteran backups.
Swing, they appeal. No. Ted Hendry says ball one.
Well, again, they call it stair-stepping up the ladder. Get 2 strikes. See the tremendous strength in Tony Armas's hands as he stops the bat.
One-two pitch to Armas. Got him swinging again. So Stewart with 2 strikeouts. Both times Armas the victim. And with 2 down, Gedman comes up.
Talk to any batting coach. Watch that left shoulder fly. Very tough to hit the ball. You're looking out at left center. Most batting coaches want you to go towards the pitcher. There, Tony Armas pulls out. Result, another strikeout.
Rich Gedman, who flied out in the 3rd inning. Batting .268. Change and a one-hopper to Bhakti, and Stewart works out of the bottom of the 4th inning. No runs, a hit. They leave 2 at the end of 4. Still 3-1 A's back after this. Message. Roger Clemens on the mound for Boston talks about the difference between last year and this.
There's not a whole lot of difference. It's just that I'm healthy and I feel strong, and you know, like I said, right now I'm pitching well. I'm throwing the ball where I want to. I'm hitting Richie's mitt in and out. I'm doing a lot of good pitching, and I'm being successful that way. I'm not changing until they make me change out there, and I guess just the overall difference is that I'm healthy and I feel strong.
Well, tonight he's throwing hard, but he's not putting it exactly where he wants it. He's made some mistakes, and he trails 3-1 as we go to the 5th inning.
But as we talked about earlier, tremendous staying power, and if you're averaging over 8 innings per game, you have to have some confidence that if your team can score, and the Red Sox have done that all year, especially for Roger Clemens, you're still in the ball game.
Alfredo Griffin fouling it away. 0-1. Crowd responding to a nice play in the stands. Griffin, Willard, and Phillips in the 5th.
Alfredo did what he wouldn't have done 4 or 5 years ago. A great at bat last time, what all good hitters do.
In the air to left field. Rice fades on it and has room, but then drops the ball. And Griffin will wind up at second. So Rice running out of room, but had it. charge him with an error.
It's a play that Jim Rice makes just about every time. Again, Griffith playing shallow, right in the pocket and out of the pocket. Almost catches it off the wall, but that wouldn't have counted.
So Griffin is at second base. Willard comes to the plate. Alfredo Griffin running at second, a durable man.
Jerry's job to do with a 3-1 lead is to advance Griffin with nobody out to third base. Hit the ball to the right side.
Tries in front of him. 0-1. And Willard thought he pulled back, doesn't like the call. Rice making his 7th error of the year.
A lot of outfielders play deep because they don't come in as well, and then there are a lot of outfielders, the good ones, a guy like I played with for years in Baltimore, Paul Blair, they played exceptionally shallow, as does Dwayne Murphy for the Oakland team tonight. They play very shallow because they have a lot of confidence going back. That ball was just a ball that Jim did not get back in a hurry.
Willard missing, and then Griffin on his way to third, and the throw is there to get him. So Boggs gets back. Griffin thought he would sneak in to the unguarded bag and winds up getting thrown out on a nice play by Gedman and Boggs.
Again, anticipating the bunt. You can't see it from this angle. You see the nice throw by Gedman with the pump fake. The tag by Boggs. Toughest ball in baseball to get a good jump on is a ball that a batter bunts through. You're anticipating the successful bunt. You're trying to land on your lead foot, which would be Griffin's right foot. He did, committed himself, and got thrown out.
And then Willard takes time for a ball, 1-2.
Say to yourself, why did he get thrown out? He's already in scoring position, but he did want to get to third. Expected Willard to put the ball in play, and he didn't.
Chopper, and oddly enough, that right there would have been good enough to get the runner to third. A ground ball to the right side. But instead of a man to third and 1 out, 2 out, and the bases empty as Buckner takes care of Willard unassisted. And the batter will be Tony Phillips, the second baseman. Roger Clemens trying to win number 15 at the halfway mark of the year, but the A's on top. Oakland with 2 in the second, 1 in the third. The Red Sox scoring their run in the bottom of the third inning.
You can see him taking deep breaths. This is from a temperature standpoint, one of those nights when you cover first base, you walk back very slowly. Do all the running in the world, or you might not be able to acclimate yourself to a night like tonight.
1-0 on Phillips.
You talked about the fact that the Red Sox think that Clemens is being squeezed. Right there, Gedman turning around to Jim Evans and says, where was that pitch? A small batter at the plate, knee-high pitch for a strike, and I guess right there, if you're not getting the low one, you're going to get the high one. Normally that ball is a ball in the American League.
Two out, bases empty. And Clemens deals 1-1 to Phillips. In there, 1-2.
Tony Phillips, a rarity earlier in the year in Baltimore, a hit for the cycle. Led off with a home run, eventually a triple, a double, a couple of singles. You see yesterday a very busy day. Second base in Milwaukee.
Clemens trying to make it 6 strikeouts, and instead Phillips hits a bouncer down to Barrett. And Marty throws him out. And that's that for Oakland in the 5th. Oakland 3, Boston 1, end of 4.5. Reminder, no Monday Night Baseball next week because everybody taking the day off in preparation for the All-Star Game a week from tomorrow. Tuesday the 15th will be at the Astrodome in Houston, and you will see the All-Star Game right here on ABC. Dave Stewart goes to work in the bottom of the 5th inning, and Ray Quinones takes a strike. Last A's manager to remain on the job more than 3 seasons is tonight's quiz. Well, Jackie Moore recently fired.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't Billy Martin. Or was it?
Martin lasted 3 years, as I recall.
So you're guessing Billy Martin?
No, over 3 years. More than
over
3 seasons. It wasn't Jim Marshall inside here. It wasn't Steve Boros, who preceded Moore. It wasn't Chuck Tanner.
Had to be Dick Williams.
Well, yeah, it would be Williams.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. 1-2 pitches high, 2-2. It would be Dick Williams, who not only lasted more than 3 seasons, but then he wound up quitting after he'd won back-to-back world championships prior to the '74 season. Alvin Dark took over, and he won the world title. 2-2 pitch is high for ball 3.
When do we find out the answer to this quiz?
In about a week and a half.
Next Monday night?
Next Tuesday night.
Oh, next Tuesday. Just knowing our production crew, they'll probably let us know on Monday.
Our crack crew, our crack staff.
Crack. Well, I hear from the truck that we're getting one last chance. Obviously, we have not given the right answer.
Now, before they pull the plug, there's a ground ball to the right side, and it's Phillips throwing to first for the out.
Phillips is the manager?
Quinones is gone. All right, last A's manager to remain on the job more than 3 consecutive seasons. I say Williams, you say Williams, and the answer is Connie Mack.
Well, he owned the club, and he managed for about 49 straight consecutive years. It's unbelievable.
Well,
see, but we didn't have to go to the press guy now. That's the difference.
I'm going to it right now, in fact, with Barrett at the plate. That's right. Williams only managed 3 years. 2 world titles and a divisional championship. Connie Mack managed the team, as you saw, from 1901 to 1950. And then they had Jimmy Dykes, Eddie Juice, Lou Boudreau, Harry Kraft, Bob Elliott, Joe Gordon, Hank Bauer, Ed Lopan. In there for a strike in the count 1-1. We mentioned most of those. We forgot Bobby Winkles managed the team for a while. So did Jack McKeon in the late 70s. And tonight it's Tony La Russa inheriting the legacy. Two and one.
I talked to Tony La Russa, and I said, is it a normal thing? This is your second managerial job at a major league level. Did you take this job because it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction once you get fired? You go, as we look at Tony sitting on the Oakland bench. He said no. He said he would like to, I guess if he had his druthers, to have picked up a club in September, see a lot of the younger players, but...
That's hit in the air to left center field toward the gap. Canseco will have to chase it down. Cuts it off and then drops it at the wall, and Barrett winds up at second with a second hit, a double.
You said earlier, Marty Barrett on a tear, 2 for 3 tonight, single to right. Been pulling the ball more this year. It's a good 2-1 pitch. Trying to get the bat head out, and does. Nobody playing in left center. They shaded him to right. Canseco almost gets it on the first hop. Knocks it down, and Barrett with not exceptional speed in easily for a double.
Wade Boggs at the plate with Barrett at second and 1 down. Boggs looks at a strike. The count is 0-1.
Going back to that thought about Tony La Russa, we look at John McNamara's wife, Ellen McNamara. Tony said that if you go to all the minor league organizations, the one that is rated the top is Oakland. So I suppose if he gets the pitching staff back on its feet, things are looking up for Oakland.
Good man. I like La Russa.
Tough time.
Lasted a long time in Chicago. He was twisting in the wind for a long time. You know, we tend to only remember the most recent incidents. where it looked like he'd be fired at any point during the season, and then finally was. But that's been the case in Chicago for a number of years. The only time they were truly happy with Tony was '83, because a divisional championship makes you happy. Boggs hits it sharply. Great stop by Phillips to take a base hit away, and Barrett advances to third. And Tony Phillips with excellent range, a man who missed most of last season. He broke his hand twice. Takes a base hit away from the league batting leader.
As we said, they play Boggs up the middle. Phillips used to be a shortstop, showing great range. Knows he has it, knows he has plenty of time to get up. And when he does, he throws Wade Boggs out. I find the amusing thing now when you go back to the Chicago situation, Kenny Harrelson, no doubt, meant very well coming in there, making a lot of changes, and Tony La Russa will say a lot of them were very positive. But he said, I'm going to make this club into a contender. They won 85 games last year. 91 won in the American League West. He said again, talking about that '83 season, he said, I was prouder of our club last year than I was of the '83 club. We didn't have as good a club, and they battled the entire season, made a race of it. And we're going to make them contenders. They were contenders.
Right now they're 7 under 500, but in that division they are contenders again. They're only 7 games out of first place. With Texas on top by a handful of California. Buckner hits it foul. 0-2. On the scores here. Reds Mets tied in the 7th. Houston with a 7-1 advantage over Montreal. Phillies lead the Braves 7-3 in the 8th. Dodgers hanging on 1-0 in the 5th. Pittsburgh and San Diego shortly. Yanks 7-2 in the 5th at Texas. Toronto leads Seattle. Baltimore leading Kansas City 4-0 in the 5th. Royals have lost 9 straight. Cleveland has a 7-game winning streak in jeopardy. And you see the other scores. And Buckner chases a high fastball and strikes out. Billy, normally tough to fan, doesn't do that very often. We'll be back after this from your local station.
The dangers to juveniles in adult jails, tomorrow on ABC's World News Tonight.
Sometimes a simple river crossing isn't so simple. And when you've got him back, it's your turn. Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Bush. Head for Bush beer. Head for the mountains.
When it comes to preparing Italian pie, the Viola sisters agree on only one thing. It should have the finest Italian sausage. At Pizza Hut, we couldn't agree more. Introducing our newest Priazzo Italian pie. A blend of zesty Italian sausage, green peppers, onions, and cheeses. New Priazzo Portofino. We think it's delicious, and we believe that even the Viola sisters would agree.
Sure, you have a choice for in-crop weeds. You can use an over-the-top spray for, say, $15 an acre, or spot spray with Roundup for $3 an acre, and control broadleaf weeds and volunteer corn that $15 spray can't handle. It's really an easy choice. You get cleaner beans for $3 an acre with Roundup and a riding sprayer. Ride with Roundup. It's the only way to go, especially this year.
Ask your dealer now about Roundup's new lower price.
Segment 5 Health Report, tonight at 10.
The premier players vie for the premier ladies title. The U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship. Live coverage begins Saturday on ABC Sports.
The Royals wondering if they'll ever win again. Royals and Orioles at Kansas City, 4th inning. Cal Ripken going to take Charlie Leibrandt downtown right here. This thing sailing way over the 385 sign. Baltimore now leads 4-0 in the 5th. KC trying to avoid a club record 10 straight losses.
That's hard to believe. Kansas City losing 10 in a row with that pitching staff.
Well, they have struggled offensively, as are the Red Sox tonight. And it's an interesting thing when you talk to baseball people. A lot of teams, and as we look at Carney Lansford, the A's coming in here having lost 7 out of 8. A lot of times you don't like to see a club like that come in, especially when they make a managerial change. Which that is not the case in Kansas City, but it certainly is here in Oakland. Did not play very well as a team, talking about the Oakland A's under Jeff Newman, the interim manager. Tony La Russa with a clubhouse meeting to meet and greet his players today. Might have a new direction. Certainly didn't like the way they were going before, 31 and 52 on the year.
And as we stated at the beginning tonight, the A's figured to contend for the American League West crown. Instead, they have the worst record in the majors. No balls, 2 strikes on Carney Lansford. Clemens has 5 strikeouts, has not walked a man. A's have really struggled on the road this season. They've lost 19 of their last 21 away from home. Lansford curls it foul down the right field line. And through the years, their big nemesis on the road has been this team. The A's have really had a difficult time at Fenway Park and a difficult time against Boston through the seasons. That goes about as far back as 1975 when the Red Sox and the Reds went to the World Series. The Red Sox beat the A's in the playoffs that year. 2-2. Clemens brought that last one home at 96 miles an hour on the gun. Two pitch is grounded to the left side and a tough play, and Quinones comes up throwing but doesn't get him. Infield hit for Carney Lansford.
Interesting play, Al. You can see Boggs ranging far to his left. Distraction for Quinones. And again, Lansford can run, and he easily beats it out. Before the ankle injury, a lot of the injuries he's had, he would have even been across the bag quicker.
Jose Canseco now. Struck out, popped out, comes up hitting .260 with 19 homers, 68 RBIs, and he has struck out 98 times this season. Canseco, we talked about his batting practice prowess before. The flip side of that is that he feels he's gotten into some bad habits because he's been trying to put on a great show in BP. And he puts on a pretty good show during the game right here with a drive to left field and into the screen for a home run. Not your prototypical Canseco home run, because that would have cleared the screen, but La Russa will take it nonetheless, and that stills the crowd and makes it 5-1. And for the rookie, that's number 20, and it gives him 70 runs batted in.
Pretty good idea, though, that what kind of power he has. You see the hanging breaking ball a little bit out in front, gets it right off the end of the bat and still lifts it into the screen.
26.
As you said, not a prodigious home run, not a Ruthian clout, but it just gets in there. It's one of the difficult things here at Fenway Park. A lot of times you cannot tell how far the long home runs have gone, and sometimes you don't know how far the short ones would have gone in a normal ballpark, but it counts. Makes the score 5-1.
Kingman, having struck out twice. High, deep drive to left field, and somebody out on the street has that one for a souvenir.
Number 12 and 65 at-bats here at Fenway Park for Dave Kingman. Canseco hits a hanging breaking ball. Kingman tried to do this the first 2 times up, chasing fastballs over his head, finally connected.
14.
There was your Ruthian clout.
See for yourself. Tries to go up and in. Just the quick top hand. And all you do is follow the flight of the ball.
And the bumblebee. And Gedman goes to the mound, and so Clemens all of a sudden down 6-1. That's Kingman's first home run since the 23rd of June, so it's been a 2-week drought. And in a way, tonight very much a summation of Kingman's career. Strikes out on 2 pitches way out of the strike zone, and then hits one 3 blocks away. And they get busy in the bullpen, the Red Sox. And it's something that hasn't happened very often this season. Roger Clemens needing some relief help as Tim Lawler, the left-hander, throws. Gedman was buying some time, and McNamara buys some more as John goes to the mound. So the crowd has been stilled by the 2 prodigious blasts.
A rarity, and I'm sure that John's asking him, and again going back to comments that not only Roger Clemens made, the one thing that's important is his health, and I think that's what John McNamara is probably asking him. How do you feel?
Not too good mentally, and out he comes, the earliest KO this season for him. Tim Lawler, who used to be with San Diego and the White Sox, came to the Red Sox last year, and he struggled this season, takes over here. Meanwhile, another look now at Canseco's home run. Jose hitting his 20th of the year, and 19 of them have come off right-handed pitchers. And then Kingman with this towering drive, well over the wall, well over the screen, and well out onto the street. So now Tim Lawler, who's had a difficult time this season. Here's Canseco.
Hey, Dad. Bye, Mom.
The A's, one of their few bright moments on the road this season, enjoying things in the dugout. What Lawler would like to do, Jim, is be able to help himself with the bat. Unfortunately, at this point, he spends his career in the American League. Look there at the upcoming Wide World of Sports presentation for you. Dwight Muhammad Kwawi trying to retain his WBA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, and Evander Holyfield attempting to become the first of the 84 American Olympians to win a world crown. Saturday, 4:30 Eastern and Pacific.
One of the main reasons that left-hander Tim Lawler was brought in was to face the next 3 left-handers in the Oakland lineup: Rocky Davis and Wayne Murphy.
He faces Bhakti here, who is singled and grounded out. So Roger Clemens gone earlier than at any time this season. He was knocked out in the 7th inning in his 3rd start of the year at Detroit, but he won the game.
You can look at Roger Clemens' totals for the night. Again, if you're looking for anything impressive, if anything, he was too much around the plate. How many base on balls? And talking about base on balls, this has been the problem that Tim Lawler's had really all his career. This year with 26 innings and 24 walks. He quickly falls behind Bruce Bochy, 3-1.
Still nobody out. We're in the 6th inning. Oakland leading Boston 6-1. And Bhakti is on. So Clemens did not walk a man, and now out of the bullpen comes Lawler to walk the first man he faces, and Mike Davis comes to the plate, having grounded out and struck out.
For anybody other than Tim Lawler, you would be saying unusually short time to get up and get loose, not expecting it, but he has done this all this season and last season. As you said, an excellent hitter, takes batting practice every day with the Red Sox extras. 24-man rosters at some point in the season might be used as a pinch hitter early in the ball game.
Or maybe very late.
That could be true. It's a very important role for a long man or an intermediate type pitcher. Talking about Tim Lawler. 6-1. You think you're out of the game.
Little looper to shallow left field, and that dunker is going to fall in for a base hit. And there are runners at first and second as Bhakti pulls in at second, and Davis is on at first with nobody out. And Murphy coming to the plate. Reds have the lead again, 7-4 in the 7th inning. Houston in the 9th leads Montreal. Phillies on their way to a win, 7-3. Dodgers hanging in 1-0 in the 6th. Pirates and Padres are scoreless. In the American League, White Sox 3, Cleveland 1, 7th inning. Twins lead the Tigers. California and Milwaukee are scoreless.
Going back to that thought, a 6-1 lead in almost any other ballpark in baseball, with the exception maybe of Wrigley Field, is sometimes deemed insurmountable or very difficult to overcome, but not here at Fenway Park. Big leads late in the game are not always safe.
0-1 the count on Murphy, who has doubled and fly to left. Inning started with Lansford's infield single, then the back-to-back homers by Canseco and Kingman. Bhakti walked. Davis with a bloop. And the count on Murphy is 0-1. Slowly hit. Barrett has one play, and the runners advance. So Murphy is out, but Bhakti goes to third. And it's Davis now at second. And with one away, Alfredo Griffin will come up right-handed for the first time. Started to talk before about Griffin's durability. He's not a big fella, but in 3 of the last 4 years, he has played in every game. And this year, he has played in every game thus far. So it's tough to get him out of the lineup, and he's the guy that spent so many years in Toronto warding off and then finally succumbing to Tony Fernandez as they traded him away and finally opened up the shortstop spot for the brilliant young Toronto shortstop.
Well, you could see that coming for years. And as we said, won a Golden Glove last year as best fielding shortstop in the American League. Extremely flashy. You're seeing him from the right side of the plate this time. Better hitter, a little bit more pop in the bat.
1-1.
Which, as soon as I say that, he chases a low and away fastball.
And he's late, too.
The frustrating thing about managing is that you bring in Tim Lawler, you have 3 lefties in a row. You figure that's the guy that you want in the game to keep you in the game. As we said, 6-1 is not totally out here at Fenway Park. And a walk and then a single. Base hit will score 2 runs here.
One and 2. 1 out. Oakland 6, Boston 1 in the 6th inning. That's Bhakti at third. And Davis at second. Still 1 and 2 on Alfredo.
Alfredo Fettuccini, as many of my ex-Oriole teammates used to call him.
And more activity now in the Boston bullpen.
We're looking at Mike Brown warming up down here.
Liner caught by Boggs. Double play. Break for the Sox. That could have been the coup de grace and would have made it 8-1. Instead, it's 6-1 Oakland after 5.5. Well, we're back in Boston. The Red Sox lead the division by 8, though they don't look like a team in first place tonight, down 6-1. I talked earlier about Baltimore and the Yankees and Detroit and Toronto being the teams that most people thought had to be beaten in the American League East. What about the Orioles this season? What's going on, and how's your man Weaver?
Well, he's confused. They have lost many more games than he thought they would. I really think, though, if you go back to about 30 days ago, they lost Freddie Lynn. They had moved him from 5th to 3rd. Had won 18, I think, out of 24 ball games. He missed 21 out of the next 44 days, and they did not play well. He's back, and they're playing well. The race is not over, and I think that's the big question that I get anywhere I go. Are the Red Sox good enough to hold on? And I think they are, but only time will tell.
Well, they picked up Seaver, of course, and he's done a great job for them. Oddly enough, it was Clemens not turning in a Clemens-like performance tonight. But what more can you expect from a man who is at worst 14-2 if he loses this one tonight? Some questions about the bullpen, but basically a pretty solid ball club and a great first half.
And you're looking at a guy right here, Dave, Stewart as he gives up a base hit up the middle to Jim Rice that is probably more surprised than anybody. When you go out to pitch against a guy like Roger Clemens, you do not expect to go into the 6th inning leading 6-1. You expect that you might be tied, especially the way he's pitched. Again, a fastball to Rice. Jim, as we said, started the game at 3:35. It's the second hit to go along with a walk. And the Red Sox have something going.
Don Baylor is at the plate. Baylor has hit the ball sharply twice tonight. Once into a force out, the other time for a base hit. 1-0. Oakland with 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors, and the Red Sox with 1 run, 6 hits, and 2 errors.
We said earlier, very hot, muggy night, and Dave Stewart only in his 2nd start. Wonder how long he'll be able to go. You see the count go to 2-0. And he is not getting the low strike, and this is not a great place to throw a lot of fly balls. You look at that graphic, 6 innings in relief. No doubt it wasn't as hot as it is here in Boston tonight.
High fly ball to shallow center field and trouble, but there goes Phillips all the way out to make the play. Great play by Phillips because Murphy started back on the ball.
Well, he did. One of the toughest play for an outfielder. You see the big swing, and there it is, right off the end of the bat. Your first move is back. Can't see it there, but Murphy is not going to catch this ball. Second time Phillips has made an outstanding play.
Dwight Evans has twice fly to left field.
That's a play, Al, that you have to show good baseball instinct. It's not a play as a second baseman that you say, hey, wait a minute, he broke back. You have to be breaking on the ball, expecting that you might have a play, and he did. Saved him a 1st and 2nd situation.
Low to Evans. And it's 2-0. The A's get busy in their bullpen for the first time. That's the newest A, Dave Von Olen, who used to be with the Cardinals and with Cleveland and released by Cleveland this spring, who has just joined the team, loosening up back of Stewart. 2-1.
Unusual with a 6-1 lead to see a left-handed pitcher loosening up to come in to face a predominantly right-handed hitting lineup. Maybe it speaks for the shape that the Oakland bullpen is in.
Evans popping it up in foul territory, and Willard runs out of room.
As we said earlier, their stopper of last year, Jay Howell's been out all year with an elbow problem. First a heel problem in spring training.
Well, if Von Olen gets into the game, you'd have a battery of 2 men who were released by Cleveland this year. Von Olen and the catcher Willard.
How about those Indians?
It's the fashionable thing. Get released by Steve Farr at Kansas City. Released by Cleveland last year. Winds up with a World Series ring and is doing the job out of the pen for him this year. And you're right. How about those Indians?
7 in a row, which I think they were behind when we saw the scores earlier.
In 2nd place by percentage points right now. 8 games back. In case you haven't checked the standings, as you look at the 2-2 pitch and the check swing and the block by Willard, the Indians moved past the Yankees yesterday by 2 percentage points. To deep left field, and that one is gone.
We're looking at a disappointed Dave Stewart. 3-2, full count. 2 outs. You want to make a good pitch, but not that good. Evans, as we said, very disciplined hitter. Walks a lot, but also strikes out a lot. Gets a good pitch to hit and belts it into the screen. We said earlier, a lot of times you can't tell how far a ball is going to be going, but this is a home run in any ballpark in the American League. Ball, when when you're on the mound at Fenway Park, you know as you see it land high in the net, it's going out of there.
Now Armas at the plate with 1 out and the bases empty, and it's a ball game again. Half swing foul, 0-1.
If you're sitting on the bench, as I said, you never really think you have a big enough lead, and if you're up in the booth, you get accused of trying to keep people from turning the television sets off. But 20 years up here, 8-1 is not safe unless you make good pitches.
The center field where Murphy will make the catch. 2 out. So Stewart has gone 5 2/3, giving up 3 runs, 7 hits, has a 3-run lead, and Gedman at the plate. Dwight Evans with his 11th home run. Evans not having what they call a real good year by any stretch of the imagination. He'd be the first to admit it. But he's on a 100-run batted in pace right now.
Something he didn't do last year, where he had a real good second half.
It's a shallow right field, and Davis got a late start. But it's hit high enough for Mike to make the play. But the Red Sox get 2, and it's Oakland 6, Boston 3 at the end of 6. Monday Night Baseball at Fenway Park in Boston. Oakland 6, Boston 3, top of the 7th inning. And Jerry Willard to lead things off. Willard, Phillips, and Lansford against Tim Lawler on in relief of Roger Clemens. Base hit to right field. So Willard, who came into the game hot and was cooled off by Clemens tonight, singles off Lawler to start things here in the 7th inning. So the number 9 hitter gets on, and with Dave McKay, the first base coach, issuing instructions, it's Phillips getting ready to stand in.
Well, so many times in baseball you get a second chance and you take advantage of it, and left-handed hitting catchers are at a premium. So if you can catch and get some base hits, you usually can find a job, and Jerry Willard's done just that.
0-1. Red Sox with a pretty good example of a left-handed hitting catcher who can do a few things.
I'm talking about Rich Gedman, was undrafted. When I talked to him, I said, how could you not have been drafted? When you talk about the dearth of catchers, he said, well, I wasn't a catcher. I was a first baseman, a pitcher. Back anywhere they let me play.
Buckner fields the bunt, and Barrett gets the put out. 3-4 sacrifice. Willard now at second base with 1 away. And Carney Lansford comes to the plate.
It's kind of an unusual play here in Fenway Park. A lot of managers disdain the bunt here. Play for the big inning. Tony La Russa would like to put another run on the board. And
John McNamara is on his way to the mound.
So once again, they bring in Lawler to face basically the left-handed run of the Oakland lineup, and does really not do a job. Willard gets a base hit. You bunt him to second.
And Mike Brown makes his entrance. And we'll be back after this message and news headlines from your local station.
The right parts. Mr. Goodwrench has the right parts for your GM car. Parts that fit.
All right. Things a little bit more exciting here. 6-3, Oakland on top. Mike Brown comes out of the bullpen, something he's doing for only the 3rd time this season, because he has started 10 games, but he's been roughed up of late. And in fact, when the Red Sox get Bruce Hurst back, and they hope to do that after the All-Star break, somebody's got to go. And a couple of the pitchers you've been looking at tonight are in that tenuous position, Lawler and Brown.
Not to mention Sammy Stewart, who is due to come off the disabled list, has had a strained, really flexor muscles of his forearm, which they said he'll be off any day. And I talked to him today, and he said, well, it's not feeling as good as I'd like. He's already come off the disabled list with the recovering supposedly from that injury, and we went right back on. Or he wasn't disabled, but he missed a couple of weeks. Brown is not overpowering. We saw him in Milwaukee earlier in the year. Throws 2 different kinds of fastball, 4-seamer that's supposed to rise, and then a sinker. Well, basically a slider for his breaking ball, occasional curveball and changeup. He's had a lot of elbow problems over the years. That's what the slider will do for your elbow.
1-1 to Lansford. Grounded sharply foul by Boggs. And the count is 1-2. So with Willard at second, 1 out. 7th inning. Oakland on top 6-3.
One of the pleasant surprises for the Red Sox is in young pitching is Jeff Sellers, who has come on as of late. Only 2-3 on the year, but an earned run average right around 3.5 runs a game. And seems like of the bunch, talking about Rob Woodward, Mike Brown, who you're looking at now, has been the most consistent.
1-2.
But you mentioned Bruce Hurst, and 5-3 on this year, but a power pitcher, strikeout pitcher, left-hander that can be effective here in Fenway Park because it has a multitude of pitches. And I think acquiring Tom Seavers allowed them to take a little more time with Bruce Hurst, not rush him back.
On a pitch that just missed somewhere.
Well, that's been a pitch that has been given most of the night. Jim Evans has not been giving him a low strike, but has a tendency to give the ball up in the zone.
Grounded to short. Willard holds. Quinones throws Lansford out. And there are 2 down now. Now Jose Canseco struck out, popped out, and homered. Jose Canseco, born in Cuba, raised in Miami. Came up last year and played in 29 games down the stretch with 5 homers, including 1 on the roof in Chicago that got everybody's attention. Strike. He, of course, one of 3 very heralded American League rookies this year, the other 2 being Wally Joyner of the California Angels and Pete Incaviglia of the Texas Rangers.
We could throw a 4th in there, Danny Tartabull. Saw a little bit of him yesterday.
Looper into left field for a base hit. Willard being waved in. Here comes Rice's throw to Kidman, and Willard is out of there.
One catcher tags out another. Willard running as fast as he can, but that's not very fast. And Gedman with an excellent tag. You decide for yourself, is he safe or out? That looks safe to me.
It's 6-3 Oakland, and we'll be back after this from your local station.
Tomorrow. 5 TV.
Didn't put up that much of a beat right after the play.
Well, a lot of times you don't know if you're safe or out. You let everybody in the clubhouse tell you. You go back, put your equipment on, and everybody comes running out of the clubhouse and says, hey, you were safe. They may be wrong or right, too. I mean, it depends on where you're coming from. Not truly an objective statement sometimes.
Quinones swinging and missing, and the count is 0-2. Dave Stewart doing a nice job for the A's tonight. Making only his 2nd start of the season, released earlier in the year by Philadelphia, and trying to win a semi-permanent spot in the Oakland rotation. But Quinones with a base hit, his 2nd of the game.
Dave Stewart right after the pitch pounded his glove. Again, a 2-strike pitch in the middle of the plate. Disappointing. As we said, very hot here. Has not pitched this long all year. Did not make the pitch he wanted to make. Quinones, a very young rookie, susceptible to the breaking ball down in the strike zone, and you throw a fastball and it just hangs in the middle of the plate, and you're facing one of the hottest hitters in baseball. 2 hits on the evening.
Marty Barrett has lifted his average into the 3s. 302. 14-game hitting streak. 1-0. Stewart doesn't like that call.
Well, to be honest, if you don't get that pitch, you're a little bit tired. It's going to be very tough to win. Good breaking ball. A lot of times, umpire will look fastball in the first pitch. Marty Barrett might have been, because he took that pitch, and you throw a good breaking ball, and you don't get it.
Quinones at first base and no one out. 6-3 A's in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Flames around that 474. That is smoking. I used to come in here with a little general talking about our ex-colleague Earl Weaver, and he used to have a theory in Fenway Park, specifically talking about Carl Yastrzemski, that umpires didn't like to call Yaz out here because Joe Crun was the president of the American League, and that if umpires called Yaz out on pitches that should have been called strikes, then the fans would boo and Joe would think they were doing a bad job. Therefore, Yaz got about 5 strikes to hit. I don't know if that was really the case. I said, I don't think that's going to get me a whole lot of pitches when I go out there the following day when they read that in the paper. And Earl would say, oh, no, that'll make the umpires cry harder. But then again, we know what kind of relationship he's had with umpires.
3-1 pitch. It's ball 4. And runners are at first and second. Von Olin throwing in the bullpen.
Well, if you looked at Dave Stewart and he was a car, you would see the gas tank just about empty. Hot night, hasn't pitched this long.
Doug Baer has joined Von Olin in the A's pen. And Tony La Russa makes his first trip to the mound as the Oakland manager in his first pitching change. So with Boggs coming up to hit, he opts for Von Olin. 6-3 Oakland. The Reds leading the Mets 7-6 in the 8th inning. Houston bombs Montreal 12-1. Phillies beat Atlanta 7-3 tonight. The Dodgers lead 1-0 at home in the 8th inning against St. Louis, and the Pirates in San Diego are scoreless. Cubs and Giants are idle. Yankees are routing Texas. Toronto leads Seattle 7-5 in the 9th. Chicago leading Cleveland 3-1 in the 8th inning. Minnesota 7-4 over Detroit in the 6th, and California and Milwaukee are scoreless in the 6th inning. Dave Stewart, who was not even informed of the start until very recently, I say within the last day or so, because Tony La Russa had been out in Oakland and had not joined the team. As you look at the scoring summary, Murphy and Griffin driving in runs in the 2nd inning. Lansford's RBI ground out made it 3-0. Boston getting a run on a Stewart wild pitch eventually in the 3rd. Canseco and Kingman back-to-back homers to make it 6-1, and then Evans a 2-run homer in the 6th inning to make it 6-3. Dave Von Olin released by Cleveland. There's his mark in the minors. 2-1, 1.77 ERA, earning the recall. And facing Wade Boggs here, with runners at first and second and no one out in the bottom of the 7th inning. In for a strike. 0-1.
What Tony La Russa is doing, of course, is bringing the left-hander to face Wade Boggs. Last year, he only hit 347 against lefties. So he is not an easy out just because you happen to throw from the same side. In fact, he's leading the Red Sox in home runs against left-handers. We're talking Armas, Baylor, Rice, Evans. He's got 3 on the year.
3 of his 5.
Kind of a statement about waiting this long to bring in Dave Von Olin about the Oakland bullpen.
To left field and toward the wall. Canseco can't make the play. Murphy backs up and scores a run. Retreats to first base and slides back in there. So it is 6-4.
What we said earlier is that you are never out of the game here at Fenway Park. Canseco playing shallow, thinking that he can get to a ball over his head because the wall's not that far. Doesn't. Going back as quickly as he can. Here's where the heads-up play by Murphy keeps runners at first and second. Back backing up, as many center fielders don't, keeping the double play in order.
Boggs using that wall like a highlight player. That's the 15th time Boggs has hit a fly ball off the wall this season. Remarkable.
Well, it's something that Freddie Lynn, when he played up here in Fenway Park, did so well. Drive the ball the other way. 15 balls off that wall. He has 102 hits. I don't get anybody to think that that's all he can do.
Here's Buckner now. Hayes infield has to protect against the bunt. Buckner squares and takes outside. And then Evans said he committed himself and calls it a strike. The pitch was obviously outside, and Evans is telling Buckner that he committed himself.
Umpiring is not an easy profession. We saw Roger Clemens, one of the best, have a bad night. And watching all night, Jim Evans is not again at the top of his game. Of course, contrary to what George Steinberg does, we are not going to send a film of this game to the league office.
Just a videotape. Bunted, fair ball. Willard to third, back to first, and a double play. And a beautifully turned double play. Willard to Lansford to Phillips, the second baseman, covering. 2-5-4. Huge play for the A's.
Talked about second chance. Buckner gets a second chance to bunt, something he doesn't do very often. Willard, the ball's fair, the easy throw to Lansford, and then Buckner, who assumes the ball may be foul. That doesn't run that well, out at first for the double play, and you wonder why he bunted. Last year, Billy Buckner 291 as Tony La Russa heads out to the mound. This year, only hitting 196 against left-handers.
Well, he's at Doug Bear throwing in the bullpen. Now you've got the right-hand batters coming up, Rice and Baylor and Evans. And so it is Bear, who's been another reclamation project this year, who makes his way in from the bullpen. So 2 out, a man on, 6-4 Oakland, and we're going to check in with Corey McFerrin in New York. All right, so Bear comes into work in relief, trying to protect it for Dave Stewart. Oakland leading 6-4 in the 7th, and we'll be back to Boston in a moment. Jim Evans, while we were out for a commercial, the target of some abuse, verbal abuse from the Boston dugout. So Rice was in an altercation with him, and McNamara came out. It's been a tough inning and a tough night for Evans, and a tough night thus far for the Red Sox, with Oakland on top 6-4. And for those of you watching the Yankees against Texas, we welcome you to Fenway Park, where Oakland leads Boston 6-4. Jim Rice is at the plate. Boggs is at second base for the Red Sox with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. And Doug Bear, working in relief, gets Rice to foul one away. 0-1. For those who've been watching the other game, Roger Clemens gone tonight after giving up 6 runs in less than 6 innings of work. His earliest KO of the season, and thus after winning 14 straight, he loses to Toronto last week and is the pitcher of record at the moment. Though what was once a 6-1 game is now 6-4 with a tying run at the plate. 1-1 the count. Rice with a perfect night, 2 singles and a walk. Boggs at second. Wade 1 for 4 tonight. And the 1-1 pitch to Rice is fouled away. For Oakland, Dave Stewart, the pitcher of record, going 6 innings plus. Dave Von Olen in his Oakland debut out of the bullpen gave up a single and then got Buckner to bunt into a double play. And now it's Bear. Hit sharply to short. Griffin up with the ball, gets him at first. And that's that in the bottom of the 7th inning. So the Red Sox settle for a run, 2 hits, leave 1. It's Oakland 6, Boston 4 after 7. Going now to the top of the 8th inning at Fenway Park. Oakland leading Boston 6-4, and Dave Kingman to start things for the A's. Kingman struck out on 2 pitches well out of the strike zone, struck out twice his first 2 times up, and then hit a monstrous home run, and that was the end of the 9th for Clemens in the 6th inning. Dave now with 18 home runs, 54 RBIs, but 4 for his last 42.
Gives you an idea about a veteran hitter like Kingman. A lot of strikeouts, as you said, over 420 some home runs. Strikes out on the same pitch twice, but is smart enough to look for it the 3rd time and hammers it over the screen. Look at that graphic. 12 home runs and 66 at bats here at Fenway Park. Fly ball hitter, likes to hit it, uppercutter. A lot like Jose Canseco in the respect that everywhere you go to spring training in Fort Lauderdale, they talk about that's where Kingman hit the ball. Go to Milwaukee, Canseco hit it over the light stanchion in left center field, 500 and some feet away.
Kingman's been doing it for 16 years.
They still talk about a home run off Jim Catfish Hunter. Mets came down to Fort Lauderdale, and he hit it over the practice field. It backs up the ballpark. As we look at Joe Sambito, saw action yesterday briefly, came in a home run to Jim Presley, put the Mariners back in the game.
Outside, ball 4. So Kingman draws the walk, and Bruce Bochy comes to the plate. Bochy is singled, bounced out, and walked. Quick recap in the 2nd inning. The A's picking up 2 runs. Murphy and Griffin driving them in. Phillips with a single, a steal, the 3rd on the overthrow, and scored to make it 3-0. In the 3rd inning, a wild pitch made it 3-1 as Bochy hits a ground ball in the 2nd. Barrett and Quinones and back to Butler, double play. So 2 down quickly, and Davis comes to the plate. It was 3-1 after 3, and then in the 6th inning, Canseco with a 2-run homer, and Kingman followed to make it 6-1. Dwight Evans hit a 2-run shot after a Rice single in the 6th inning to make it 6-3. And then Quinones with a base hit advanced when Barrett walked, and Boggs with a base hit to make it 6-4. That's where we stand at the moment in the 8th inning with 2 out. Bases empty, and Mike Davis at the plate. Davis 1 for 3.
You said earlier, struggling compared to last year where he hit 24 home runs. Hamstring injury. The fact that pitchers adjust when a young player comes up and has an outstanding year. And also, I think now when you talk about a guy, this guy batted 7th in the lineup, and they moved him down into a little bit lower spot. You have a little more respect for him, so you pitch him a little differently. So his job is to adjust.
Tony La Russa's job is to try to win his managerial debut at Oakland. 3-0 the count. In there for a strike on the count, 3-1. Two out, no one on. Davis at the plate. Oakland leading Boston 6-4. 2 out in the 8th. Got the corner. Neither team very happy with Evans tonight.
A little respect for Mr. Davis. 3-1 breaking ball. Normally that's a strike. Of course, tonight, again, what you want from an umpire is consistency, and Jim Evans has been a little inconsistent tonight.
Count holding at 3-2 on Mike Davis.
In fact, I ran into a supervisor of American League umpires on the way in the ballpark, Jerry Newdecker. last of the dinosaurs with the outside protector. As you look at Jim Evans, you can see that he has the inside protector under that blue shirt. All the American League umpires now wear that protector.
Base hit for Davis, his second, coming with 2 out here as Davis singles to right. And it will bring Dwayne Murphy to the plate. Looking ahead to the bottom of the inning when the Red Sox come up, Baylor, Evans, and Armas. And those are the men working the game tonight, with Evans back of the plate and McNamara at the moment on the way to the mound, with Murphy a left-handed batter and Sambito the left-hander throwing in the bullpen. So John McNamara, who interestingly enough managed Tony La Russa in 1970 when La Russa played briefly for the A's and Mac was there prior to Dick Williams. Ground out, Sambito in, and we'll be back. Update, Reds lead in the 9th at Shea. Houston wins, Philadelphia wins. And the Dodgers hold on to beat St. Louis, with Pittsburgh and San Diego scoreless in the 3rd. In the American, Yankees routing Texas, Toronto a winner. Baltimore about ready to hand Kansas City, loss number 10 in a row. Cleveland trying to make it 8 straight wins, tied with Chicago now. Minnesota leads Detroit. And California and Milwaukee, no score in the 8th inning. So Joe Sambito comes out of the Boston bullpen to face Dwayne Murphy. With 2 out, Mike Davis at first base. Sambito making his 31st appearance. And as many of you who follow the sport closely know, a remarkable comeback for Joe. After a brilliant start to his career in Houston, and then he missed an entire season. It's been a long road back after a radical operation. And he's fit into a nice little niche here in Boston. So yesterday, he did give up a 2-run homer to Jim Presley to make what appeared to be a sure Boston victory into a close game, but the Red Sox were to hold on anyway.
Look at the leading relief pitcher in the American League, talking about Don Ossie of the Orioles. Had the same operation done. They transplant a ligament out of your opposite leg and graft it into your elbow. Hang around for 9 months, rest, and then you start a conditioning program. Work for Sambito, who's been used sparingly. Left-handed hitter here and there, along with Bob Stanley, who's healthy again in the Boston bullpen. Ossie, on the other hand, has just been overpowering in Baltimore with 22 saves. After a second half of greatness last year.
1-1.
So Murphy looking fastball, gets it. This is a swing that produced 33 home runs a couple of years ago. Swings right through it. Also 4 consecutive years of over 100 strikeouts.
Time called.
Does not look like a tentative swing of a man who just came off the disabled list with a ruptured disc in his back. Tony La Russa said he played 2 games in a row in Milwaukee and came out of them well.
That's the way Murphy always swings. One to him. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Well, I was pitching when Dwayne Murphy came up. As we see another home run cut, why get cheated? Let it rip. The only problem is he swings at a ball almost over his head. Sambito right around 88 miles per hour, which is 7 or 8 miles slower than Clemens. So we can wait and see if he's a little bit more successful than Roger. Back to Dwayne Murphy, we'd like to see good players come into the league, but when he came up, short stroke, good eye. So here's a guy that's going to hit around 300, occasional power, and then somebody said to make a lot of money, let's hit some home runs. And he's done that. Again, when you have a guy like Ricky Henderson leading off and getting on base as he did 2 years ago, you can look for a lot of fastballs, and Murphy is a much better fastballer.
There goes Davis, and Murphy
Well, it's my job. If I was in another line of work, it would probably be real tough. But I've got 8 other guys that are depending on my position, and I've got time to think about what has happened when I'm away from the field, and I try not to let that distract me when I'm on the field.
Stan Javier is the new center fielder, taking over here in the bottom of the 8th inning with Don Baylor to lead things off. And Doug Bear starts Baylor with a breaking pitch high for a ball. 1-0. 27,347 looking on tonight at Fenway Park. In there. Doug Bear out of the bullpen. Their closer of late has been Steve Ontiveros. The man they would like to close is Jay Howell, but he is on the disabled list. It is a tattered and torn Oakland pitching staff as Baylor pops it up, and Bhakti in fair territory makes the catch. Baylor gone, and Evans is the batter. Just looking down the pitching staff here, Jimmy. You've got Andujar, who was banished from St. Louis. Bear had been released by St. Louis. Conneroli's now on the disabled list. Haas is not on the DL, but he hasn't pitched in a month. Jay Howell's on the disabled list. Bill Kruger is on the disabled list. Rick Langford trying to come back after a couple of seasons of arm miseries is 1-9. Dave Leeper came up from the minors. Bill Mooneyham is another guy who was released earlier in his career. Jose Rijo has had a tough beginning, though he won yesterday 3-7. Dave Stewart was released, but pitched well tonight as Evans fouls it away. And then they got somebody like a Tim Bursis, who they had high hopes for back in the minors. As you look at the particulars on the Dodger game, with Alejandro Pena winning his first game since '84. Another guy with a comeback from physical ailments.
Shoulder surgery.
Philadelphia beats Atlanta. Shane Rawley having a great season with 11 wins.
Well, out of from under the shadow of Steve Carlton, who yesterday started for San Francisco. Mike Scott having a fantastic year.
And Glenn Davis with 19 home runs, playing half of his games in the Astrodome. Evans popping it up. It's Bhakti with Phillips, and Bhakti calls to make the play. So a fair pop by Baylor and a foul pop by Evans, and 2 down with Tony Armas at the plate.
You look at Doug Bear's numbers, and they're 0-2 and an ERA of 3.18, which is very good. But the thing that impresses me, 17 innings, now 18 innings and 12 hits, only 6 walks, 16 strikeouts. So the journeyman pitcher, who's been in Detroit, Cincinnati, always had good stuff, but never outstanding stuff, overpowering. And what he's done tonight is he's shown the Red Sox hitters his fastball and got him out with some breaking balls.
A reminder, stay tuned for your late local news following the game, and then Nightline. Swing and a miss, and the count is 0-2. College athletes and their education is the topic tonight on Nightline, coming up following your late local news. Amongst the guests, Notre Dame basketball coach Digger Phelps. Also Dr. John Slaughter, Chancellor of the University of Maryland, will be there. 0-2 the count. Just missing outside. Bear goes all the way back to being involved in a trade with Tony Armas. He was traded with Armas by Pittsburgh to Oakland back in March of '77 in a multiple player deal. Fouled away, and it's 1-2.
Again, this late in the ball game here at Fenway Park, get a man on, you're looking in a tie situation with the score 6-4. And Bear has been ahead of all the hitters he's faced. Something you can drum into pitchers forever, but easier said than done.
And he gets Armas slinging as Tony strikes out for the third time tonight. Bears retired the 4 men he's faced. We'll go to the ninth. It's still 6-4 A's. And Jim Palmer in Boston. Oakland leading Boston 6-4. Joe Sambito working in relief. Let's go back to the back-to-back home runs. Jose Canseco in the 6th inning. The powerful rookie connecting here. A shot just clearing the wall for his 20th home run, and then a true Ruthian blast by Dave Kingman, who followed. And we're not talking about Dr. Ruth Westheimer either. Well out into the ninth. 9th inning. Alfredo Griffin looping one into shallow center field and dropping in for a base hit. The broken bat squiver, and Griffin has his 2nd hit of the night.
I'll forget what I said about Alfredo having a quicker bat from the right side. Tony Armas out in right center. The ball looped to left center. Just doesn't get to it before it falls. Really, when you go back to those 2 home runs, Clemens, with 1 unearned run out of the 3 he'd given up, is still in the ball game. Canseco's home run made it 5-1, and then the mistake to Kingman 6-1.
Willard at the plate. Griffin can run. Alfredo leading the team in steals with 19. And Willard bunts foul. 0-1 the count. When the Red Sox bat at the bottom of the 9th inning, they're not really where they want to be. They're 8, 9, and 1 in the order. That's Gedman, Quinones, and Barrett. You would figure that they'd hit for Quinones. Oddly, he has a couple of hits tonight and has scored twice. And when you look down their bench, they've got Dave Stapleton, Dave Stenhouse, Kevin Romine, Ed Romero, and Mark Sullivan.
Saw the graphic on Griffin's ability to steal. 19 for 28, but with Sambito a good move, and Tony La Russa, a fairly conservative manager, you have to look for the bunt here.
To Sambito to second. They get the out there and cut down the lead man. So Sambito does his job, getting off the mound in a hurry, turns it into a 1-6 force, and with 1 out, Willard is at first base and Tony Phillips is the batter. ABC's Wide World of Sports this Saturday, 4:30 Eastern and Pacific. Dwight Muhammad Kwawi defends his WBA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. And Evander Holyfield becomes the first of the crop of the 84 U.S. Olympians to fight for a title. On Wide World Saturday. Tony Phillips is 1 for 3 plus a sacrifice. The switch hitting second baseman, batting .255. Tries to drag his way on, and the pitch up high, ball 1. 1-0. And Sambito balks about the call. Ball 2, 2-0. Reds held on to win. Final score, Cincinnati 7 and the Mets 6 at Shea Stadium.
Now, if you're going to have pitches taken away from you, it's usually on a bunt situation. Gedman, the catcher, coming up to try to get out of behind home plate quickly. The tendency to stand up in front of the umpire. But as we said, Evans struggling all night with the strike zone.
2-1. good bunt, and Boggs' throw is in time, but Buckner came off the bag, and he's safe. The throw was there, but Buckner couldn't keep his foot on the bag, and McNamara comes out to visit with Hendry. A good bunt, a nice play by Boggs, too, because the throw was there in time, and Hendry was ready to call him out. And then you could see him gesturing and indicating.
It looked like Brooks Robinson in the Red Sox uniform. He made the play. As you look, John McNamara saying, who was totally frustrated tonight with the umpiring job. Yesterday they had a couple of calls go their way.
And John's lovely wife looking on as he vents his frustration with the first base umpire, but it's been building up, as you say, basically with the calls by Evans tonight. And Mac is right on the precipice here. She just watched a new dress go down the drain because that's what, $100?
It almost looks like John wants to get thrown out. It's been a frustrating night for the Red Sox. Send your ace out there. Normally when you score 4 runs, that's good enough to win. And trailing 6-4. Talk to any manager, there's a time to get thrown out, and apparently John felt this was the time. Billy Buckner with a stretch. He looks out. Again, easy to umpire out here, and you see the other end of the play. Great play by Boggs. Knows he has to hurry, bare hands the ball, takes less time. No, he just made a great play. Watch his reaction.
He can't believe it.
No intensity in this game.
Meanwhile, McNamara has been thrown out, and here comes the pitching coach now, Bill Fisher. And it's Bill who will be making the pitching changes. Of course, with McNamara thrown out of the game, there's a little runway back of the dugout here, and John could literally remain in that runway and out of sight and still be making the decisions and have them telegraphed out here in the 9th inning. But 6-4, Oakland on top here in the 9th inning. They have scored that, by the way, an error on Buckner. So it was a good bunt and a good play, but no base hit and an error as Steve Crawford comes out of the Boston bullpen to pick up here with Lansford coming to the plate. Let's get a word with Corey McFerrin, Red Sox pitcher. He comes out of the pen. The A's have runners at first and second and 1 away, and Carney Lansford at the plate. There are the particulars on the Reds-Mets game. Robinson now 7-0. So Crawford now. Their closer is Bob Stanley, who's worked often of late and has had some difficulties of late as well. And it's Crawford who gets the call here. Meanwhile, Rene Laxman is managing the Red Sox, at least in an official sense. As Lansford, it's a fly ball to right center field, and Evans makes the catch in front of Armas in the runner's hold. So it's Laxman who is the manager of the moment, but as we say, if McNamara so desires here in Boston, all you do is stand a few feet out of sight, relay the instructions.
Or as Earl Weaver did many times, he's been ejected close to 90 times in his career, would just call up on the phone. A little annoying in the bullpen, in the dugout when the phone keeps ringing. There's none of our coaches in Baltimore would ever not answer the phone. Couldn't do that to Earl.
Canseco at the plate, and down he goes on a pitch up and in, but not that up and in. It was that up, but not in.
Well, when you stand with an open stance, you have to move towards the plate. Crawford throws pretty hard. You see the ball run up and in.
One and oh.
Jose was talking about facing Tim Leary, a hard thrower for the Milwaukee Brewers. He said he started swinging a ball on the outside part of the plate and just broke his bat at the fist. So Crawford, see the slider away. Hard thrower, a little bit disappointing year. Last year 6-5, the year before 5-0. Earned run average well up in the 4s this year. Last year right around 3.5 runs a game. So until Sammy Stewart comes back, and we would most likely see Stewart in this position if he had not been already in the game.
Base hit into left field, and Bob Didier will hold the runner at third as Willard is stopped there on a base hit by Canseco. So Jose has 3 hits tonight, and the A's have the bases loaded, and Dave Kingman coming to the plate.
Again, we talked about his strength. Slider in the middle of the plate. Quinones, a rookie mistake, should knock this ball down with a runner in scoring position. But maybe smarter than I am and knows that very difficult to score on a base hit here in Fenway Park with Rice playing very shallow. Doesn't do that, and the bases are loaded.
Kind of Kingman's career in miniature tonight. Strikeout, strikeout, booming home run, walk.
There have been years, though, when he's made a concession to strikeouts with 2 strikes cut down on his stroke. Those are the years he's hit around 250 or a little bit higher. Other years, you see that swing for all 3 strikes.
Kingman has 15 Grand Slam home runs. 11 of them came in the National League. And he leads all active players in that department. And again, he's hitting in a ballpark in which he's hit 12 career home runs in now 66 at-bats, which is an incredible ratio. 0-2.
Well, it's rather obvious that Dave is not thinking a single with those 2 swings. His commandment, thou shalt not pass, without me taking a hefty cut at it.
If Crawford throws him a legitimate strike, they ought to fine him $1,000 here. There is no way in the world with a count 0-2 on a Dave Kingman you can throw a pitch over the plate, because Kingman's going to help you out most times anyway.
Out of the University of Southern California, was a pitcher. In fact, drafted by the Orioles back in 1968.
In fact, he mopped up early on in his career pitching for the Giants against the Reds back in the early 70s. He struck a couple of men out.
Well, there's a lot of stories about Dave Kingman, but I go back to going to the Superstars, and nice guy, befriended my youngest daughter, Kelly. She thinks he's a prince. Of course, she doesn't write for any newspapers.
He hasn't sent her any gifts, right?
No. Well, she always liked live pets.
No balls, 2 strikes to count. Check swing, he comes around, and down he goes. And so Crawford escapes the jam, keeps the Sox very much in the game. Oakland on top 6-4 after 8.5, and we'll be back right after this from Corey McFerrin in New York. McNamara about the Red Sox and what they would have to do to stay on top the rest of the way.
Pitching. One word, pitching. I think you win and lose with pitching. I've been pitching orientated all my life, and good, solid pitching where you don't go into any prolonged losing streaks will be the key to what happens.
Well, John McNamara ejected tonight in one dugout. Tony La Russa, meanwhile, making his debut in the other dugout as the A's manager, and he talked about what he'd be looking at over the next several days.
Well, I start always with effort, Al. I'm going to look, first of all, to see what kind of effort guys are willing to put forward, especially when a club is struggling. It's very difficult to play. It's much tougher to play on a club going this way than the Red Sox. So I'm going to look for the effort. Now, once you get past that, I'm going to start looking at who can execute what. And as we go along, I'm going to start trying to do some things with the team that I like to do, whether it's offense or defense, and see who responds.
La Russa watching his club on top 6-4 as Gedman leads off facing Bear and takes a strike. Cleveland has lost. Chicago beats the Indians 4-3, so the Indian winning streak snapped at 7, and the Yankees are back now alone in second place. So the Yankees were trailed by 7, Cleveland by 8 if the A's hold on to beat Boston.
Well, he's looking at a guy right here, Doug Bear, talking about Tony La Russa, that's given him both effort and performance. Got all his pitches over, been ahead of all the hitters, and there's a strikeout.
On 3 pitches, and Bear, released by St. Louis and finding a new home in Oakland, has come out of the bullpen to retire the 5-man he's faced.
Look at Willard's glove and look where the ball lands. Rich Gedman swings right through it. Strike 3.
Now Mike Stenhouse comes up to bat for Quinones. Mike Stenhouse out of Harvard. Just across the Charles. 6 walks, a hit, and a sacrifice in 12 appearances. Some odd numbers, but a man who obviously has a pretty good eye.
Oh, their pinch hitters are having an excellent year. 286. 6 hits and 21 at bat. 1 home run and 4 RBIs. Again, as John McNamara said, this is a pretty set team. You do not do a lot of pinch hitting. Only for the shortstop position.
And that's what's happening right here. And you would figure the take sign down by 2 and 2-0, but he swings away and hits it foul off to the left and back out of play. Sort of odd there in a way. A man who's drawn as many walks as Stenhouse in so few appearances in a position here where the Red Sox are really looking to get a man on. You're down by 2 with 1 out, bases empty. You're not looking to hit 1 out. You're looking to get on base.
Well, I'm sure McNamara says here's a guy that has a good eye. Guy out on the mound has been around the plate all night. Certainly understand what you're saying, but maybe he realizes Stenhouse has a good eye and realizes his ability.
2 and 2. Maybe McNamara would have given the take sign had he been in the dugout, but by the time he relay information, maybe Stenhouse didn't have the take because of the lack of communication. We're speculating, but it's possible.
Well, we used to hear a little echo in Baltimore. Take, take, take. Those little tunnels reverberate.
That raspy voice to center field. And Stan Javier makes the catch, and there are 2 down. So 2 away, and Marty Barrett comes to the plate now. Barrett, who's been red hot for the last couple of weeks. 14-game hitting streak, 2 for 3 plus a walk tonight, and his average up over the 300 mark. Bear trying to pick up his 2nd save of the season. And he's trying to save this one for Dave Stewart. In there. So 2 pitchers tonight. The keys for the A's, both having been released. Stewart attempting to pick up his first win since September of '84. And Doug Bear, who was looking for a job during the winter after he was released by St. Louis, trying to pick up his 2nd save of the season. And he's a strike away. Two. If Barrett can keep it going, then Boggs would be next as the tying run. There's Wade. And the 0-2 to Barrett is grounded to third. Lansford juggles, retrieves, and throws him out. And Tony La Russa has a victory in his Oakland debut. Oakland wins it by a score of 6-4. Our thanks to Alan Roth and Steve Hurd. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer now saying good night from Fenway Park in Boston, where the A's have beaten the Red Sox 6-4. Be sure to join us later for ABC News Nightline, immediately following your late local news. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
Make television